If you're in a vehicle or thinking about getting into a vehicle, obviously that is not a good idea at this point in time, as we have a very intense thunderstorm getting ready to move into the I-75 corridor. So again, if you live in McCreary County, Wayne, or West Central Pulaski County, you are under a tornado warning at this point in time. It is very important that you get to a tornado shelter. This warning will go into effect all the way until 2:15 Eastern Daylight Time. We are seeing some Doppler indicated rotation within this thunderstorm. So again, let's move back over to live pinpoint Doppler radar, and we will take a look and see some of the communities that are being affected by this storm. It's real obvious which one is the most powerful and is very, very dangerous at this point in time. Not only are we seeing some of the brighter colors, the oranges, the reds, the purples, but we're up into the whites. So not only are we looking at the potential for circulation within this thunderstorm, but also looking at other threats, which may include very heavy rainfall, hail that is very large, dangerous straight line winds, and also the potential for some lightning. So multiple threats to be addressed here. The tornado will be near the community of Parnell by, let's say, about the next 3 minutes or so. Monticello by about 2 o'clock. Mill Springs, Steubenville, and Betsy by about 2:05. Fraser, Trimble, Naomi by 2:10. And about 6 miles to the south and east of the Pulaski County Park by about 2:15. Again, what we're looking at here is a very intense thunderstorm that has rolled up from the other side of the Kentucky border into portions of Tennessee. You can see just over the last hour or so, we have seen this storm come up and stay up in intensity. This storm currently moving off to the north and east at a pretty decent clip. At last check, it was moving about 56 miles an hour. That's a reasonably fast speed for this type of cell to be moving. Let's take a look at some of the communities that will be affected by this storm here within the next hour or so. Monticello, you need to be headed to the basement over towards Stearns and Pine Knot. Be on the lookout for some very dangerous straight line winds. About 50,000 people in the path of this storm. That includes Monticello over towards Betsy and Fowlebush. Here within the next 20 to 25 minutes or so, a very powerful thunderstorm moving in your direction. Again, I want to stress the importance of this. This is a tornado warning that is in place for southwestern McCreary, West Central Pulaski County, as well as Wayne County in south central Kentucky until 2:15. Now is the time to be headed to a tornado shelter. We are beginning to see some very intense rotation within this thunderstorm. What I'm going to do now is take off some of the radar imagery and just show you some of the areas that are affected or under this tornado warning. Again, 2:15, that is the expiration time on this particular storm, so you need to be headed to a basement if you live in any of the counties you see here on your screen. Inside the WYMT viewing area, we're looking at mainly Wayne County over towards Pulaski and McCreary County, but some additional counties included in that: Clinton, Cumberland, over towards Monroe and Russell counties. Again, a very powerful thunderstorm that is producing numerous threats, including a potential tornado. I want to stress that this is not a confirmed touchdown of a tornado, but we were looking a little bit earlier at some of the radar imagery as it moved over into portions of Kentucky, and with this particular cluster of thunderstorms, we have seen some very powerful winds. And a couple of, I know that we've seen at least one report of a possible tornado over in Tennessee. But again, several communities being affected by this thunderstorm, and we want you to be getting to a tornado shelter if you can at this time. What we mean by a tornado shelter is getting to a basement, getting to a secure location that you know is going to protect you from this potentially tornadic thunderstorm. Looking at about anywhere between 70 and 80,000 people in the path of this storm. That includes Monticello over towards Delta and Mill Springs within the next half hour or so. What I'm going to do is peel off some of the radar data and take a little bit of a closer look and see some of the communities that are being affected by this storm. Folks over towards Albany, Monticello, Jamestown, Stearns, Pine Knot, you all need to be headed to a tornado shelter. Somerset, within the next 30 minutes or so, you will be headed to a tornado, or need to be headed to a tornado shelter. Now is the time. Absolutely no reason to delay. delay, but also no reason to panic. Now, for the folks down in McCreary County, Pulaski County, and Wayne County, let me switch on over to the other weather graphics system and show you some of the tips that you should be following at this point in time. First things first, stay calm. There's absolutely no reason to panic, but you want to be moving as quickly and as safely as you can to a tornado shelter. And if you don't have a plan already in place for what a tornado shelter is or what it is related to, getting to a basement is the best option. You do not want to be going near exterior walls or near windows. You want to be staying indoors for no reason whatsoever. You should be going outside. If you don't have access to a basement, you want to be getting to the lowest level of the building that you're in. If that is in a school, go ahead and follow teachers' instructions or personnel instructions. Usually that will involve getting out into a hallway or getting underneath a workbench or a desk. If you're at home, go ahead and get the kids or get any of your remaining family members that aren't already at work or school and get down to the basement or get to that lowest floor in the building. If you live in a mobile home, now is the time to abandon that mobile home and get to a secured location, get to a reinforced structure, and that will allow you to get as much space between you and the outside world as this potentially tornadic thunderstorm rolls in your general direction. Again, if you are thinking about getting in a vehicle, that's obviously not a good idea. Going outdoors, not a good idea at this point in time. You want to be getting underneath a heavy table or a workbench. That is very important. If you have pillows or blankets easily accessible, you want to be getting to that tornado shelter and covering your neck and your head with those soft items. That could protect you should your home be struck by this tornado. Let's go back to live pinpoint Doppler radar at this point in time, looking at still a very powerful thunderstorm moving off to the north and east at this point in time and moving at a very powerful clip, about 50 to 55 miles an hour. Some of the communities, obviously Somerset over towards Monticello, you need to be headed to a basement immediately. Steubenville, Nancy, Quinton, Hogue, all plan to be in the path of this potentially tornadic storm within the next 15 to 30 minutes or so. Some of the more localized communities, we'll zoom on in here on Pinpoint Doppler and show you some of the smaller towns, not necessarily shown right away here on Pinpoint Doppler. Over towards Burnside, Monticello, you need to be headed to a tornado shelter. We'll zoom in a little bit further and show you some of the communities that are about to be affected by this storm. Monticello, one of the major towns in the area. Good idea to be getting underneath the ground, getting in a basement, getting in a secured location over towards Burnside. Some of the roads and towns that we're looking at over towards Pulaski, McCreary, and Wayne counties that are going to be affected by the storm here in the short term. There's 90, 192, folks along 192 and Hal Rogers Parkway, 27 as well. And a lot of the folks near Somerset and Burnside, you need to be heading to a secured location at this point in time. I want to stress again that we have a tornado warning in place for southwestern McCreary County as well as west central Pulaski County and also Wayne County. All of these just inside the viewing area or very close to it, looking at some very intense rotation within this thunderstorm. A very favorable environment for tornadoes now that we are under a tornado watch for a good chunk of the WYMT viewing area. Let me briefly pull things out and kind of show you what's going on. Over the last hour or so, we've been watching as these storms have developed over portions of western and central Tennessee. Now we're looking at some of the communities affected by this over towards some of our south central counties in Kentucky. 127 along 27 in the Hal Rogers Parkway. All of you need to be headed to a tornado shelter at this time. And what we mean by that, well, simply put, you want to be getting to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of your building. For whatever reason, do not go outside. Do not venture near windows. Do not try and get anywhere near the exterior part of your house. If you can take a straight shot to the basement, maybe go straight down those stairs, that's going to be the most important thing at this point in time. Again, we're looking at a potentially tornadic thunderstorm that is not only potentially producing a tornado, but may also be producing some very heavy rain and also some dangerous lightning, as well as some very dangerous straight line winds that very well could be in excess of 60 to 70 miles an hour. Let me quickly drop down a storm track on this cell that is really packing a punch. For those of you down in south central Kentucky, looking at close to 100,000 people in the path of this storm over towards Kidder, Nancy, Burnside, Monticello. A lot of our communities down there really getting in a situation that you don't want to be in at this point in time. Over the last hour, we've watched this cell continue to stay very, very strong, very, very intense. If we could, let's switch on over to our other weather graphics system, briefly show you the big picture of what is going on. We have seen a tornado watch in place for western and now central sections of Tennessee. Now we're watching some of those thunderstorms roll into the Commonwealth of Kentucky. For those of you down along Interstate 75 in south central Kentucky over towards Wayne County, McCreary County, and Pulaski County, you are under a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes. And here's what you need to be doing. Getting to a tornado shelter, getting to a secured location that you and your family or your immediate people that you live with should be following these steps. Getting to the basement, getting to the lowest level of the building that you're on in an interior room. If you have a walk-in closet or an office, that's going to be a great place to be. You want to stay away from glass or mirrors that could potentially break. Also, if you live in a mobile home and you're in Pulaski, Wayne, or McCreary counties, you need to be getting out of that mobile home and getting to a secured location. At this point in time, we are looking at a potentially tornadic thunderstorm. And again, I want to stress that we have no confirmation at this point in time that there has been a tornado on the ground here in southeastern Kentucky. We have seen a couple of reports come in from the SPC. I know that we were looking at some tornado warnings issued down near the Nashville area, and these storms have continued to roll in our direction. So again, a very important situation to look at, and a very important situation as we take you back to live pinpoint Doppler. We'll take a look at some of the communities that are going to be affected by this storm here in the very short term. When we see these brighter colors on the radar indicating some very heavy rainfall and the potential for some very large hail, that is a concern in itself. But now when we begin to see some rotation within this thunderstorm, that becomes an even higher problem. So again, what we're looking at here is a tornado warning that is in place until 2:15 for the folks down in northeastern McCreary County as well as Pulaski County into northern Wayne County until about, now 2:30. So we have extended this warning. Folks towards Burnside, Ferguson, Monticello, Science Hill, Somerset, an area that did see some thunderstorms come through your area this morning, you are now under the gun with a potentially tornadic thunderstorm rolling in your general direction. As this storm continues to move off to the north and east at around 55 miles an hour, paying no attention to the television. If you need to get to the basement, that is the most important thing to be doing at this point in time. Some of the communities that we already listed here, Somerset, also towards Alpine, Burnside, Fraser, Steubenville, about 75,000 people within the next hour will be affected by this thunderstorm, moving from the south and west to the north and east, again at about 56 miles an hour. This is a Doppler indicated tornado warning, meaning we do not have ground confirmation from the National Weather Service or otherwise that there is a tornado on the ground, but we are in a very favorable environment for tornadoes to form. A lot of spin, a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere, a good deal of instability with some of the sunshine that we've seen poking through the clouds. And again, I want to stress, northeastern McCreary County, Pulaski County, and northern Wayne County, you are now under a tornado warning until 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Within the last few minutes, we continue to see rotation within this thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. Again, we are a far distance away from the radar. We can't necessarily see what is going on at ground level, but we are seeing some mid and potentially low-level rotation that could be spinning up a tornado. Again, folks over towards Monticello, Albany, Stearns, Somerset, Science Hill, over towards Burnside, Ferguson, some of the communities that will be affected by this storm here in the very short term. Right now, we're looking at folks over towards Monticello, and very shortly over Burnside, you will be seeing this thunderstorm roll over your community very soon, over towards 27, 90, 92. That's where we're looking at some of the major roads that will be affected by this storm. In addition to some of those roads, we are also looking at 1275 At 90, you need to be getting to the basement at this point in time. 1247 again, off towards Somerset. And of course, the Hal Rogers Parkway, not that far away from this particular thunderstorm. It comes without saying that with a good deal of sunshine poking through the clouds today, a cold front rolling into eastern Kentucky, not a tremendous surprise that we have this tornado warning in place. Again, we have seen no suggestions from the National Weather Service. We're in direct communication with them. We have seen no specific word from them other than seeing rotation on radar that there is a tornado. But you need to be acting as if there is one and following these steps. Stay calm. Move quickly but safely to a tornado shelter. Heading to a basement, that's what we mean by moving to a tornado shelter. If you can get to an interior room on the lowest floor of your home, that's going to be the best place to be. You want to be moving from the bedrooms and the bathrooms upstairs and maybe moving down closer to the ground level if you can't get to the basement. Once you are on the lowest floor that you can possibly get to, you want to be protecting yourself, getting underneath a heavy table or a workbench. That will provide some additional insulation as this storm continues to roll over your community. In addition to getting underneath a table or a workbench, you want to be getting out of mobile homes if you happen to live in one and getting into a reinforced structure, one that will be able to sustain you should a tornado be developing within this thunderstorm. And obviously you don't want to be venturing near the exterior part of your home, near windows, and you most certainly don't want to be going outside. For those of you just joining us, a tornado warning is in place for northeastern McCreary County, as well as Pulaski County and northern Wayne County in south central Kentucky until 2:30. As we move back to live pinpoint Doppler radar, this storm is moving from the south and west to the north and east at about 56 miles an hour. And the National Weather Service continuing that tornado warning for about the next 20 to 25 minutes. And we will be staying with you as this storm continues to roll in towards the I-75 corridor. Moving pretty quickly. Folks, right along the Bronson-Burnside area over towards the Somerset-Pulaski Airport, Ferguson, Sloan's Valley. You need to be headed into the basement at this point in time. If you can't get to a basement, the lowest level of your home, that's going to be a very safe place to be right now. Again, I want to stress that we have no confirmation that we have received reports of a tornado. We have seen signs based on Doppler radar that there is some rotation within this thunderstorm that may be producing a tornado. Again, some of the communities as this storm moves from the south and west to the north and east through McCreary, Wayne, and Pulaski counties right there on your screen. Mill Springs, Kidder, Trimble, Bronson, Sloan's Valley, all set to occur within the period of this tornado warning. We have received several updates that there is going to be a continuation on this tornado warning and that you need to be headed to a tornado shelter at this point in time. If you're just joining us, again, I want to stress the importance of this situation. Getting to a basement is a very important thing. This is something we don't take very lightly, especially as we reach in towards the severe weather season. This is April. This is not the middle of the winter where if you had any doubt, you may not be prepared to head to the basement. But now that we are officially heading into the severe weather season, you need to be taking this with a great deal of seriousness, but also a good deal of collectiveness. Again, some of the safety tips that we want to throw your way. The most important thing is to stay calm at this point in time. You want to be moving quickly but safely to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of your home. Okay, we are now getting reports in at within the last 5 minutes that a trained weather spotter has reported a funnel cloud. I repeat, there is a funnel cloud rolling over the warned area. This is a likely tornado near Steubenville or near Monticello, moving on to the north and east at 56 miles an hour. So this is no longer a Doppler-indicated tornado. We are actually seeing reports of a funnel cloud in south central Kentucky. Not a great deal of surprise there because we are continuing to see very high amounts of rotation within the storm, and we have also seen some reports of damage down in the Nashville area. Again, about 67 to 70, maybe even 80,000 people in the path of this storm. And at one point in time, this cell was really packing a punch and potentially dropping golf ball to maybe baseball-sized hail. Folks, close to Somerset along 27, you need to be headed to a tornado shelter. There's absolutely no reason to delay as this storm continues to move from the south and west to the north and east at about 56 miles an hour. Now that we have seen a funnel cloud, a trained weather spotter from the National Weather Service has reported a funnel cloud near Steubenville, near Monticello, moving east at 56 miles an hour. It's now very important that you take the time to get to a safe location. There is absolutely no reason to delay. This could be a life-threatening situation, and we say that not to scare you, but to remind you that this is a very important weather situation. Some of the communities, again, we've been highlighting a lot of the same areas here: Somerset, Alpine, Braunston, Kidder, Betsy, all progged within the next, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. You are under a tornado warning. Some good news coming down. The tornado warning for southwestern McCreary County is now canceled. It has moved out of that area, but a tornado warning remains in effect until 2:15 for northwestern Wayne and west central Pulaski counties. I want to stress that we have received a report that there is a funnel cloud in the area over south central Kentucky, a very important weather situation. And as this warning will slowly be wearing down, we want to remind you of some of the tips within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so that you need to be doing. Getting to a basement, getting to the lowest level of the building that you are in, getting out of mobile homes here until the storms have all cleared. Within the next 15 to 20, 30, 40 minutes, we will see a little bit of let up, and certainly not the enhanced tornado potential that we see at this point in time. In addition to the tornado, we are also looking at the potential for some very dangerous lightning, as well as some very heavy rainfall, some very large hail, and some straight line winds that could easily be in excess of 60, maybe upwards of 70 miles an hour. Again, for the folks down in McCreary County, you are no longer under a tornado warning. For the folks over in northeastern Wayne and west central Pulaski counties, you need to be headed to a tornado shelter at this point in time. Here's the bigger picture, what's going on. Over the last hour, we have seen this cell in particular moving from the southwest to the north and east at about 50 to 60 miles an hour, really start to spike up and put a lot of people in its path. It's a very unfortunate situation when we have to break into coverage and discuss what is going on in terms of a tornado potential. But again, I want to stress that we are still under a tornado warning for at least a handful of our viewers, and we will stay with you until this warning is officially over and done. For the folks, again, in northeastern Wayne as well as west central Pulaski counties, you need to be headed to a tornado shelter and be staying there at least until we give you the all clear. That should be within the next 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes or so. We'll begin to see these storms start to wind on down. All right, we are also getting a report in from Wayne County of some marginally severe hail, about penny size, along Highway 789. So multiple threats here, but obviously the one that we are the most concerned with is this potentially tornadic thunderstorm. About 70 to 80,000 people in the path of this. For the folks over in Pulaski County, again, you need to be headed to a tornado shelter until that tornado warning has expired. We do not want you to be in harm's way, obviously, but when this kind of situation shows up, you need to be able to get to that safe location as quickly but as safely as you can. Getting into a basement, that's going to be the best place to be. Also, you want to be headed to the lowest floor of the building that you're in. If you're at school, you want to be following directions of other personnel, getting into a hallway, getting underneath a desk, and of course, what we're looking at here is, again, a very intense thunderstorm as it continues to wind down here in the short term. Hopefully, it looks like the threat for a tornado has diminished significantly. Again, we will bring you an update coming up in just a few moments. For now, we're going to send you to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Numerous tornado warnings have already been issued. Scott's been in here with you, updating you on that. He's right here in the Weather Center. Of course, Rob is as well. Now, to get you up to date on some of the latest information, I am Jim Caldwell. Let's check the live pinpoint Doppler radar and see what is going on out there. It's southern Kentucky under the gun at this point in time. with the tornado warnings galore out in that general area. We'll highlight some of them before you get that information out and show you what's changed as far as the warning situation is concerned here. You can see the one very intense cell moving through southern Pulaski County right along 27 there, crossing that road at this point in time. And just to the south of Somerset, you see exactly what we're talking about with this tornado warning that is moving through that area. Here's what we've got until 2:30. Laurel, McCrary, Pulaski, and Wayne counties all under the gun, it looks like, for the potential of this tornadic cell moving through southern Kentucky. We'll get some more of the pertinent information out there for you. All kinds of stuff coming in here to us so far this afternoon. And this cell just really blew up and it moved on. It was really trucking along out there in southern Kentucky, producing all of this severe weather that we are currently seeing. I'll give you a little bit of a storm track and some information here. You can see some of the communities that will be affected over the next half hour or so, or the next 20 minutes. And you're looking at right around 79,000 people being affected by this storm. And some of the communities from Greenwood all the way down to Huxley over the next 17 minutes. I'm looking at 2:20 right now, so 17 minutes worth of data. And this continues to move up toward the north. And you see the community of Grade, also one that's probably not mentioned, Ruth and Mount Victory, all of these under the gun for the next little bit. And what we are hearing at this point in time, tornado spot or severe weather spotters are seeing right now, they continue to report spotting funnel clouds out there. This is one of the driving forces to issue a warning. And when you have the ground truth, somebody out there that is trained specifically for this, and they see that, this certainly reassures you about the warnings and heightens the threat level quite a bit. And that's what we've got out there with these folks seeing these possible funnel clouds all throughout parts of, looks like in Pulaski County, McCrary County, and this possible tornado when they issued this located near Tateville, and that's about 9 miles south of Somerset. So that's why they're under the gun. This is not a shock to the system out there to these folks. I mean, they are very well accustomed to severe weather in Pulaski County. Pulaski and Laurel counties are most intense part of the cell, now moving again through southern portions of Pulaski County. I want to get a little closer so we can possibly find Tateville. There you see it right there, and that is right along 27. I'll highlight that road for you, and that's right along the road. That's where a trained spotter indicated there could be a possible funnel cloud within this storm. So if you're in that area right now, close to Tateville, Blue John, toward the north of that community, certainly you need to pay attention to the skies and pay attention to the voice you hear, because hopefully you're hidden into a closet or somewhere else into a sturdy structure, and you are not out and about here close to a window or a door. Certainly you do not want to be in that general area. We'll check the leading edge of where this pocket of the severe weather could very well be occurring at, and we'll see some of these roads. You see Blue John Road, and you've got Homer Roberts Road. There's a community called Hale out there. Watch out for of course, the potential of hail. No pun intended there. We are certainly looking at large hail, severe hail probabilities up to 100%. So we're going to watch that for that as well. Numerous things going on. This winds are picking up. If you're over in some of these communities, if you're Cullen River Road, you're starting to probably feel that wind pick up, and that's because you have one impressive cell that is moving just to your west. So you need to go ahead and get your plan of action in motion. Get into a safe structure downstairs into your basement or the bottom floor of your home. Just going through a plotting different road. There's Bower Road, and that's going to be a Bower right on the border. You can see it right there. But Bower Road, all of these spots need to pay attention and need to get into their significant shelter that they may have there in their home out in Pulaski County, where we have the current tornado warning in effect here. And this is just one of several that have been issued throughout the afternoon hours here across southeastern Kentucky. Let's throw up those tips real quick, and we can get you up to date for you folks that are just now starting to feel the wind and just now starting to see the effects of this system. We have those tornado safety tips. It's located on our other computer. If you can just bring those up, we'll get the information out to you here as quickly as possible so you can know what to do. I've got them memorized, but it's always good to see them on your screen. There they are. You need to, of course, stay calm, move quickly, but safely. Head to a basement or the lowest portion of your home. Now, the reason we say go to the lowest portion of your home if you don't have a basement is because you want to take yourself to the lowest level. You want to get out of the strongest forces of the winds. The winds are going to be a little bit higher up. Farther up you go, you're going to have more intense winds. So you want to keep that in mind. And what you're, and of course, if you get to the basement, you're really, really doing yourself a favor. But even if you're there, you still need to do a couple more steps. You need to possibly get under a heavy table or a workbench. You want to stay as safe as possible. Got cell phones going off here galore. There's the news director calling. I ought to tell him to call somebody else. Tell him somebody, answer that phone there and tell him to call the newsroom. Anyway, Omega Park Road, that's where we're at on the map. The boss calls and we go kind of crazy here. Tornado safety, though, you want to abandon mobile homes and vehicles and if available, get under a heavy table or a workbench. You want to be in one of those particular spots because you're going to add some extra protection. You want to add a shell to your body, and we say throw possibly blankets on, some pillows on, whatever you may have in reach, anything to add some extra protection to your body. Those safety tips right there, I'll tell you, they will save your lives if you can certainly follow those, and we do encourage you to do just that. All right, let's readjust our view. Let's go back over to live pinpoint Doppler radar, and we can see on a broader scale what's going on here. As you see all the storm tracking live right here on WYMT, right out of the Sky Alert Weather Center. And just to highlight this county again, to give you the pertinent information, then you see that we do have the tornado warning in effect for Pulaski County until 2:30 p.m. here. I'm going to peel off a layer of radar, continue to do that, and get you right down to the base. And you see the cluster of tornado warnings that have been issued, all these counties highlighted. There's a feature that the Weather Service started issuing warnings in a new way to show you the heightened area of threat, and it's right in here, all of these spots. If you're in southern McCreary County, this is not exactly affecting you at this point in time because it looks like the main portion of this cell is going to be traveling where the red is highlighted at. And let me get my video cursor on now. We can see, there we go. And the heightened area all through here, that is where you're going to be under the gun until 2:30 p.m. It's 2:27. We're closing in on that. You see anything?
No, still no updated information, just holding the tornado warning.
They're just holding that tornado warning, not knowing right now if they're going to extend that. It still looks intense, but we'll certainly have to watch this one here if it can affect Laurel County here. Seeing reports of nickel-sized hail coming out of Pulaski County now, out of the Burnside community. This cell went right on top of that a moment ago. If you are in Wayne County, this cell no longer a threat to you, but there's more on down the line. So just because you're not seeing anything right now on radar down there toward Monticello, still be prepared. We have more storms to go. We have that tornado watch that goes through 6 o'clock here this evening. So plenty to be concerned about over the next few hours here in southeastern Kentucky out into southern Kentucky. Tornado warning 2:30. I'm waiting to see what they're going to do, if they're going to extend or push a severe thunderstorm warning. Something is certainly fitting, we believe, here with just looking at this and the intensity on radar. Certainly something could very well come down here within the next little bit at 2:28.
Yeah, we're still seeing some rotation within the thunderstorm too. We're not going to show it to you here on Pinpoint Doppler, but multiple threats to go here, Jim. I mean, we still have the tornado. We still have the potential for some very heavy rainfall. Okay, and now some new updated information. This is actually good news. We're still dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings, but several counties now under a different kind of severe weather threat. Laurel County, McCreary County, southeastern Pulaski County, southern Rockcastle County, northwestern Whitley County, western Clay County, Jackson County, and Knox County. You are all under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. Basically, what we're looking at here is the potential for some quarter-size hail. So not just your run-of-the-mill severe hail, but ones that will actually kind of sting, especially if you happen to be outdoors. And that's why we encourage you to get inside. Also, destructive winds that could be in excess of 70 miles an hour. And again, still looking at that tornado warning that is in place here within the next 45 minutes. We hope to be getting an additional update from the National Weather Service in Jackson. But again, that tornado warning still going strong. But now some additional counties now under a severe thunderstorm warning. All the counties you see right there in yellow.
They're all highlighted right here, and we'll go closer and show you some of the communities here in just a moment. But you can see again, the swath for this storm as it moves off toward the north and east. You can see the northeast trajectory. Not on radar. You don't have to see it on radar. What you see is how these warnings, these highlighted areas are pointed off toward the northeast there, sweeping the entire county of Laurel County. And I'll tell you, ever since they changed these warnings, you don't see that much, but the entire county covered up for the potential of this cell to move right on through. I'll go close and show you. There goes tornado warnings down out in Pulaski County. Good for those folks
That's good.
through
That's
there.
great news.
But still dealing with the eastern part of that county, well, that's where the cell's currently located at. It's still going to be under the gun because you've got a very intense, severe thunderstorm that'll be moving through there. Now, we'll get you up to date here, give you some communities, and then we will go back to regular programming unless something else major breaks here within the next little bit. There's 192, so that's right where the cell's going to be at. I'll bring the radar up again so you can see it, and you can see just to the south right there, the heaviest pocket of it. Still doesn't matter. You're still dealing with a very intense thunderstorm moving right now in eastern Pulaski County along 192. It'll be traveling right along that road before you know it. So if you know somebody in the car that's going to be traveling and you're over here in Laurel County, give them a call, let them know they have got a monster, a brute that is out there that has already possibly produced tornadoes, numerous reports of funnel clouds. This has been a very active evening for the folks right out through there. To bring up those communities now, you see Mount Victory right now on top of you. Down here to a couple more roads, London Road. There's your county line right there that I've highlighted with the mouse. And you can see the Narrows Road and, of course, 192, just some of the spots getting into apparently a lower populated area in Pulaski County. That's welcome news. You don't see as many roads, so that is certainly a good indication as far as human life is concerned, and to keep that protection value up. You go over into Laurel County now. That's where we're going to be watching for the next little bit here. And you already see communities like Keavy. I'm going to go closer so more will start to pop up because, again, you've got this intense cell that is on the move and it's heading in your general direction. So roads like Marsh Branch Road, you've got Indian Camp Road, and you go over to Bentley Road. All of you are going to be in the direct path of this cell as it rotates right on toward the north and east here over the next, it's 232 right now, that goes out to 315. So got plenty of time. You're looking at 45 minutes right at to be prepared and to be under the gun across Laurel County and stretching into several other counties. Just watching the exact track of that cell at this point in time to see who's going to be highlighted most. Any new information over there?
No new information, but again, something worth noting is that even though we have a severe thunderstorm warning and no tornado warnings, thankfully, are in effect right now, the good chunk of the WYMT viewing area remains under a tornado watch until 6 p.m. this evening. And so keep in mind that even though the specific cell has not prompted a tornadic threat at this point in time, it has, within the last couple of hours, produced a tornadic threat. So it comes without saying that we're not out of the woods quite yet, and we're still looking at some very destructive thunderstorms. Again, winds that could be easily in excess of 60 to upwards of 70 miles an hour. And again, some good news coming down with no tornado warnings now in effect for McCreary, Pulaski, or Wayne counties. And so great news there. And now we're just dealing with kind of the severe weather potential, some hail that is certainly something not to shake a stick at. You need to be headed indoors. You don't want to be outside wandering around seeing what's going on. Your safety is the most important thing to us. And again, look at this impressive line of storms. Jim doing a really good job of showing us the ongoing thunderstorm action that extends all the way from the center part of the state down into portions of Tennessee. We have seen reports of some possible touchdowns near the Nashville area, and that same cell rolled over the border into Kentucky and produced tornado warnings here in south central Kentucky. So that just kind of shows you that we're getting into the season where we have the potential and the characteristics of the atmosphere to produce this kind of weather. This is getting to be the time of year where I know a lot of us are starting to come out of our cabin fever and getting back into the spring-like season. But again, a very powerful line of storms still present over south central Kentucky at this point in time in numerous counties, including Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski, Rockcastle, Whitley, Clay, and Jackson, Knox counties under that severe thunderstorm warning.
All right, you're right. All kinds of activity still out here to our south. You can see all these storms. They're going to continue to move off toward the north. You're going to have more trying to develop here in the next little bit. As you mentioned, atmospheric conditions are absolutely favorable for strong thunderstorm development. So we will certainly keep you monitored, and real quick, we'll go back into eastern Kentucky. We're looking at a bit of an older product. This is updated every 5 minutes, but this is the National Composite Radar, so we can see what's coming just down the road. That's what we're looking at down into Tennessee. That's what we're going to be concerned with here in just a little while. Several other counties, though, under severe thunderstorm warnings. We'll go back closer, highlight some communities, and then we're going to get you back to regular programming, and of course, continue to monitor the situation very closely here at WYMT. You see all of the particular cell that's going to be moving in several counties here. It could very well clip northern parts of Whitley County, Knox County. That's where it's going to be, the threat area is currently at. You can see all of this right here in yellow from just to the east of Somerset, just to the west of Manchester. That doesn't mean anything. You could still see quite a bit, but you see I could very well clip all of these counties. And if you notice when I turn on radar again, that's generally where the southern side of this is at. Very intense stuff moving in these counties. I'll go a little bit closer here and just show you more communities right now. You got Bernstadt that'll be under the gun, High Top. This is all in Laurel County. So if you're in Lilly, and there you see I-75. That's the blue road right in the middle, I-75 and US 25. You know anybody's going to be traveling on those and they're in the car right now, give them a quick call on their cell phone, let them know what the situation is. We have a very intense storm. It's already been producing hail, possible tornadoes earlier. Numerous reports of funnel clouds have been spotted and called into the National Weather Service over in Jackson. So again, a very, very significant weather threat out here this evening and into the rest of the evening. As a matter of fact, 6 o'clock, our tornado watch, that's when it's set to expire. And hopefully that will happen at that point in time. There's certainly one thing I hate to see, that's severe weather here, and that's what we've got in southern Kentucky, and a spot that's very familiar with it. So right now, southern Laurel County, you are going to be under the gun at the moment as it pulls out of Pulaski County. Just prepare if you're in parts of southern Laurel County. Eastern Pulaski County, you've been dealing with it for a while, but at this point in time, we are going to cut loose from the severe weather coverage. Not to say that the threat has gone down. We'll continue to give you updates throughout the rest of the afternoon hours here from the Sky Alert Weather Center. And then, if necessary, we see something significant with these storms, we'll be right back on the air. But at this point in time, we're going to go back to regular scheduled program. We'll be back officially at 6 o'clock. Tune in then for the latest weather information for southeastern Kentucky weather. We'll focus on solely while nobody else does. We'll be back with you a little bit later. And here we go again with more very intense weather out there as tornado warnings have been issued for several counties here, including right here at WYMT, the city of Hazard and Perry County included in this tornado warning. Let's go straight to it, live pinpoint Doppler radar, and we'll get the latest information out here at you. Been watching this storm develop. It's the same cell that has caused all the problems so far. We've heard reports that this cell's already literally destroyed a trailer out in Wayne County. Now here we are under the gun with the same cell. It's kind of re-intensified. It started to weaken just a hair, and now it's right back up and at 'em. You can see the cell here. The most important information will be the tornado warning information. You can see everybody highlighted here. Perry County, Leslie County, parts of Clay County. You've got Owsley County in on this, and you've got Breathitt. And just to give you the information here, the necessary information, we'll pull it all up here for you and make sure that's all looking pretty good and matching. The only exception here, the thing about this software, it's so sensitive. The only exception, McGoffin, you are not under that warning. It's just barely tipping you, so the software is picking up and sending you that warning. If I could cover up McGoffin, I would, but what you've got here is definitely for Breathitt. You have Clay, Knott, Leslie, Owsley counties, and Perry County all under the gun with the exception of this one. Again, this software is super sensitive and tries to get the warning out to you and make sure you know exactly what is going on. Some of the highlighted communities, that's what we'll check next for you, and then we'll go back to the actual radar display. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect too, by the way, but right now we're on the air for this, and we'll get everything covered here in just a moment. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and shut some of those off for the time being so that we can see exactly what's going on with the critical weather that is out there. Okay, obviously Clay County, that's where the cell's at. That's where we'll start our coverage at with this severe thunderstorm possibly producing a tornado. It was indicated on Doppler radar, and that was right around Brutus. So if you are around the Brutus area, that is where this all originated from. And there you see the community of Brutus. So right in this general area, apparently it was located. That's about 12 miles northeast of Manchester. All right. But you can see some of the spots here under the gun. You've got Saul, which of course is right over here in the parts of Perry County. You've got Side Rock. We can jump around here a little bit, back up some. You can see how it is. Perry County. Perry County comes right back down in over here. All right, we're going to go back a little bit closer. Anco, Side Rock, all of these communities now under the gun with some of the roads that will now start to mention larger branch road, State Highway 1482, there's 484. You get over to parts of Perry County and you're talking 2022. That's the York Road. All of these roads under the gun now, folks, for the next little bit here until 3:33. Also, don't forget, folks, we are, of course, streaming the severe weather coverage live on WYMTnews.com. If by chance your television goes out and you still have the capability to get on the internet, we are streaming this live on the internet, so you can stay up to date with us right there on WYMTnews.com. A lot of the county seats around southeastern Kentucky under the gun with this one, too. With Hazard being included in this warning, you go up into just to the south of Jackson. You've got Hyden that is just right on top of them as well as far as the warning is concerned. Now, what I'm going to show you now is the actual radar display so we can all see exactly what is going on. We'll try to throw an actual storm track on this, too, though that works the same way. This storm has been turning off toward the northeast, and that's what it's trying to do at this point in time. You can see our cell and who it's right on top of Buckhorn. If you know anybody that's up there at Buckhorn trying to enjoy what was a very warm and nice day, you need to let them know that, hey, it's time to get serious. We have a tornado warning. And that means that it's either been spotted on Doppler radar or it has been spotted by somebody out there that is a trained official weather spotter that knows exactly what to look for in the atmosphere to show that there could very well be one. Again, this cell has already had the history of possibly producing tornadoes in southern Kentucky, and now it's right here moving through Saul. You've got Gaines Creek just up the road there, Side Rock. We're looking at that very intense cell moving through that general area. Let's jump over to some safety tips. We'll let Scott go over those for you here for just a moment, and we'll get back to it. I'm going to gather some more thoughts here.
Yeah, first and foremost, the most important thing to do at this point in time, and Jim has reiterated this, that we have numerous threats with this storm, the most important being that there may be a potential tornado. This same cell has produced, according to trained weather spotters down in Wayne County, has produced a funnel cloud. So there still is the potential. Once a storm has this inherent rotation, we begin to see that as the storm moves, it still can develop those properties of rotation. So basically what we're looking at here, first and foremost, you need to stay calm and you need to move as quickly but as safely as you can to a tornado shelter. And what we mean by that is heading to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of the building that you're in. A lot of folks maybe still at work, maybe still at school. The place you want to be is on the lowest floor of the building that you are in, and you want to be in the most centralized part of that building, staying away from exterior walls, staying away from windows, and you certainly don't want to be going outside at this point in time. If you're thinking about jumping in a car, you definitely want to delay that until all of these storms come through the area, now that we are looking at a very dangerous situation. If you can't get to a basement, as always, getting to the lowest floor, the most centralized part of the home that you can, or the building that you're in, that is a very important thing to do right now at this point in time. Once you are there, you want to be getting yourself even more secure. Give yourself some additional protection. Getting underneath a heavy table or a workbench. If you have pillows or blankets that are easily accessible, you want to be covering your body with those. Getting as close as you can to the floor, covering especially your neck and your head. And if a lot of folks here in Eastern Kentucky living in mobile homes, if you're in a mobile home or living in a mobile home, you need to abandon that mobile home at this time, getting to a more secure location, a reinforced structure that is capable of not only sustaining a potential tornado, but also straight line winds that could easily be in excess of 50 or 60 miles an hour. We've already seen what happens when this cell goes over areas that contain mobile homes, and we've already seen some damage related to those. So we're talking to you especially. If you live in a mobile home, you need to get out of that as quickly and as safely as you can. And obviously you don't want to be venturing into a vehicle. I believe we have some updated information regarding the tornado watch that has been extended for all of now southeastern Kentucky. So that's where we stand at this point in time.
You mentioned that mobile home deal, and we had that report out in Wayne County, it destroyed. And we're hoping to have a live report from Wayne County where this possible tornado touched down earlier today. The only way we'll never know 100% is after the National Weather Service goes over and does a storm survey, a complete survey, and then they make the rating. They cannot make a rating from sitting right there at the Weather Service office. They have to actually get out and look at some of the damage paths and see exactly what kind of damage and what kind of structural damage we have seen. Let's go back to the live radar. We've got a new report that came in for Clay County on Highway 11. It says that Highway 11 is blocked by a house and barn. Now that was reported by the school bus garage over there in Clay County. That's about 4 miles north of Manchester in Clay County. That report just coming in, and that was reported to them, looks like 3:15, and you're talking 20 minutes ago or so. But it's a dangerous situation there, especially if you're traveling through that spot. I'm not sure exactly where it's located at. It may just pop up on you, but I'm sure the authorities over there are trying to get that cleaned up and, of course, warning you ahead of time. But right now, we have a very intense cell moving through parts of Leslie County and northern Perry County at this point in time. Thought I heard a rumble of thunder here a moment ago, so it's certainly bearing down on us as well. But it's getting closer. Not yet as far as the intense cell here in Hazard. We're not under the gun yet, but we need to be in that preparation stage here to get to the basement, as Scott was saying there a moment ago. Confluence, under the gun. That's my favorite phrase, under the gun, because this is a very dangerous situation. Gase Creek to Chavez up in Perry County here. All of these spots to be prepared. Chavez is right on top of you right now. Some of the most significant weather. This is a cell that has already possibly produced tornadic activity out in southern Kentucky. We're looking at 28 there. Some of the other roads, Spencer Fork Road. You know, anybody that lives in this area, I encourage you to get a hold of them. And if you can get a hold of them by cell phone, that would be the best way to do it. That will cut back on the risk of possibly being hit by lightning, because they're not directly attached to the wall. The wiring is not going down to the poles and so forth. So that is the best way to get in touch with somebody right now. Not even with some other roads here. You got one called Charlie's up there in parts of it's such a tricky little spot there. I'm not sure if it's in Perry or it's in Breathitt County. It's up county. That road goes over across the border. But you can see where we're at, way up there in Breathitt County, southern parts of Breathitt County, and also we've got Clay County that is moving out of Perry County and Leslie County, all right now under the gun. And the leading edge of this now trying to stretch closer and closer to the city of Hazard. And you got Manuel up there as well. That's right along with this 28. That is 28. And there you can see 15. It's on its way to 15 too, folks. So if you know somebody that's going to be traveling and they're in their car right now, not a very good place to be. Tell them to wait. If you know somebody in the neighborhood they're traveling through, tell them to stop, go over there, and be as safe as they possibly can by getting into a sturdy shelter and off the roads here. Any other new reports have you?
No, nothing else, just a continuation of that tornado warning. Again, something that Jim has really highlighted here by showing you what's going on live pinpoint Doppler is that we're seeing some very heavy rainfall where this tornado warning is in place. And I want to dispel the myth, and Jim will certainly agree with me, that you want to be getting now to a tornado shelter. A lot of folks may seem to think that, you know, I got to look out the window and wait until I see it or wait until I hear it. We're not only looking at some very heavy rainfall, but also some straight line winds that are going to be easily going above 70 miles an hour. That can cause not only limbs, but whole entire trees to come down. We're looking at the potential for some structural damage, not only from the potential of potentially tornadic winds, but also due to the straight line wind potential. So a lot of folks in a lot of should be considering for about the next 20 minutes or so. The most important thing is to stay calm, move quickly to a tornado shelter. We're talking about a basement or the lowest level of the building that you're in. If you're at home, you want to be getting to a basement. If you can't or don't have a basement or you can't get to it, you want to be getting into the most centralized part of the building that you're in. If you have a walk-in closet or a walk-in office, that's going to be a great place to be. You want to put yourself very close to the ground. If you have pillows or blankets, you want to be covering yourself with those. Getting underneath a heavy table or workbench. If any of you are listening to us at school, you certainly want to be getting the kids underneath the desk or getting them into a situation where they're going to be safe out in a hallway. But again, we're looking at numerous threats here. Not only do we have the tornado warning continuing for, goodness, Leslie, Clay, Perry, Knott, Owsley, and Breathitt counties, the potential tornado here, but we're also looking at very destructive straight line winds that are easily going to go above severe limits, and we're looking at heavy rainfall, dangerous lightning, some large hail certainly possible with this, and it's just not a good situation to be in right now. And the best place to be to get yourself away from this storm, or get yourself further away from the storm, is to get into that tornado shelter, into a basement, and down close to the ground for about, we're looking at the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. So still a lot of time to go on this warning.
And we're going to stay with you throughout the duration of this. Of course, this is a tornado warning. And so that spells it all right there. Tornado says everything, a very dangerous situation, something we don't see a lot of here in southeastern Kentucky, but they can certainly happen, and they certainly have. There's already been a possibility of one touching down in Wayne County and possibly other counties. We have to, of course, send the folks to the Weather Service out and let them check the damage out of the coming days here to determine if that indeed was tornadic activity that did touch down. Let's go over to the live pinpoint Doppler radar here, and we're still focused in right there on northern Perry County and also in northern Hyden, or Leslie County. So many counties, so many cities. Trying to get them all out here for you folks. But you can see right there, very intense cell moving in this little area right through here. Just something worth mentioning, another very intense cell out here in southern Laurel County. So if you're out there, you're getting hit with another smaller cell, but it's certainly intense. Just to highlight that, we don't want to downplay the tornado, but we certainly want to, or the possible tornado, but we also want to highlight all of the threats that are imminent out there, and that is one of them. But right now, our biggest concern would be the possible tornado that is moving right now through parts of Perry County, maybe into Leslie County at this point in time. But nonetheless, the probability of some large hail is certainly there out of this system, and very intense winds, as he was mentioning a moment ago there. This is a very, very tough cell that we've got moving in that general area. And let me shut some things off here, because that is going to get the most accurate data possible up here for you, so you can see exactly what we've got going on and what we can see here as well. You see the tornado warning highlighted again. Again, the only exception here, again, this software is so sensitive, it wants to make sure that everybody is aware of what is going on in southeastern Kentucky, that it has, even if it touches a border of a county, sometimes it will highlight that as well. I'm putting my mouse over the one that I don't want you to really pay any attention to. Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Leslie, Ledger, Owsley, Perry, all the warning until 4 o'clock. We're looking at 15 minutes left on this warning. Could that be extended if it stays intense, if it has the characteristics, if it keeps the rotation? That could certainly be extended. It could very well just go into a severe thunderstorm warning, which is nothing to sneeze at either, because those can be damaging as well, especially with some of this rain out here today, trying to loosen up some of the soil. Some of those larger trees are going to be easily coming down if they get some strong wind in there on that loose soil. Just kind of says, hey, it's going to be easier to push me over, and that can certainly happen. It has happened. It has happened here. All right, we're looking again in northern Perry County, just to the north of Clemens. Again, we're on line 15, so you want to remember what that is. The main roads here. And you can see Kentucky 80, which will then stretch over into Knott County, and there is 476. These are the roads. Those are the communities you're looking at that are situated there, all in between here. And right now, on top of you all, extended for several more counties. We'll go ahead and just, as we're checking all this information, we may as well go ahead and let everybody in southeastern Kentucky know where they stand with this severe weather situation. We'll show you some of the counties that are now included in this watch. All the counties that are highlighted here, and just in the red, I'll even turn that warning off for a moment, under a tornado watch until 6 p.m. So you certainly stand a chance of seeing some kind of significant weather come your way, whether it be a tornado or a strong thunderstorm producing winds in excess of 75 miles per hour. That is very powerful. That is very impressive, and we certainly don't want to downplay any of that ever, because that can be just as life-threatening.
And again, what we're seeing here on radar is not only some signs of rotation, some characteristics within the thunderstorm, the winds within the thunderstorm that are showing us that not only are we dealing with a potential tornado and some rotation embedded in here, we're also dealing with an environment that is incredibly favorable for tornadoes. We've had a lot of wind shear out there, a lot of the energy that has been churned up by the sunshine throughout the day today, really helping to fuel these thunderstorms. And just looking over some of the data, we'll spare you the details, but we could easily see this thunderstorm continue to produce the threat for tornadoes. And it's already spun up a funnel cloud as confirmed by a trained weather spotter down in south central Kentucky. So this is not a storm that we're seeing signs based on Doppler radar, but we've also seen a history with this thunderstorm to produce damaging winds and also to easily toss around some mobile homes and cause some structural and damage, and certainly bring down some trees across the area. In case you're just joining us, a lot of folks may be coming home from work, getting ready to start your weekend, perhaps a little sunshine out there, getting ready to finish out the work week and start off the weekend. This is not the time to be going outdoors, especially if you're in these counties. The tornado warning continues until 4 o'clock, so about another 10 minutes or so for Leslie, Clay, as well as several other counties here in southeastern Kentucky. So what we're going to be dealing with here is some very intense thunderstorm action here in the short term. We have just lost power here at WYMT.
We have indeedy here, and that also really got us going there quite a bit. And actually our radar computer went down just then. How about that? That just shows you the situation as it continues to evolve here in southeastern Kentucky. That storm getting very close to us here in Perry County, or in Hazard. It's in Perry County. It's in northern parts of the county right now. We're going to bring up our computers. We're going to stay right here with you because that's what we do, and that's why we're here, to keep you up to date with the information. We do have the tips. Show us the tips. There we go. All right, that computer didn't go down, but the radar computer went down. How about that?
All right.
All right, so you've got stay calm here. Move quickly but safely into your desired shelter that you may have allotted for your family, for yourself. That could be a basement, an interior room, or the floor, the bottom floor of your home. And what we mean by interior room, maybe a closet in the hallway, maybe a bathroom that is situated there in the hallway. You want to put as many walls between you and whatever may be outside as possible. You want to absolutely do that to keep yourself protected a little extra from debris. You're just almost like putting layers on, you're putting them on with your home. Abandoned mobile homes and vehicles, and if you can get under a heavy table or a workbench, that is where we encourage you to be at in order to keep yourself safe, in order to stay safe here and from any falling debris from inside your home. You need to certainly try to get to one of those positions as quickly as possible. We're trying our best to get the old radar computer back up here, and as we do that, we've got, looks like others coming up now. You can see we've got an animating radar. That's what we've got. Now, this is dated information. This is a little bit old. As a matter of fact, it's about 15 minutes old, but you still see what we've got down to our south in Tennessee and into Alabama that could rotate through East Tennessee right on up into parts of southeastern Kentucky, and a closer view of that, highlighting with the tornado watch box too, showing you where the threat is for these storms to continue. We mentioned the environment is very favorable for more development here a little bit later on. Got a very, very impressive piece of the atmosphere that is currently going on right now.
Just want to let you know that we are seeing, and before we had our power glitch here, looking over some of the circulation, the rotation within the thunderstorm, most of the circulation right now is centered over northern Perry County, and that is the area, along with several counties here in southeastern Kentucky, where the tornado warning continues and you need to be headed to a basement. A lot of folks coming home from school, maybe getting ready to head in towards the start of your weekend, maybe preparing to even grill out or do some weekend festivities, and that is something that will have to be put on the back burner as we now have tornado warnings in place for several counties here in southeastern Kentucky. That includes Perry County, that includes Breathitt County, looking at Leslie County as well as Clay County. Thankfully, we're starting to see some of the severe thunderstorm warnings on the backside of these systems expire, but we are still looking at the potential for a tornado here in the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So you need to be especially careful for what is going on. Again, we have heard no reports with this latest tornado warning, but this same cell that is now moving through that prompted the second tornado warning here in the heart of eastern Kentucky has produced a report from a trained weather spotter of a funnel cloud. So this is something to take very seriously. This storm has a history of producing winds, both in the low and mid levels, of producing at least a funnel cloud and potentially a tornado. We've seen reports of some damage down across south central Kentucky. Folks down in Wayne, Pulaski counties, you've already seen the brunt of this action, and now we continue to move off to the north and east in areas like Breathitt County, over towards Clay County and Perry County. You need to be headed to a tornado shelter and following the tips you see there on your screen. Again, this is something that you can do under control. We want you to stay as calm as you can. We want you to move quickly but as safely as you can to a basement. If you can't get to a basement, we want you to get to the lowest floor of the building that you're in. Do not venture outdoors. Do not venture near windows, and certainly don't want to venture near the exterior part of the house. If you have a walk-in closet or you have an office in the central part of your home or even a bathroom, I always say a bathroom's a good place to be. Obviously, you don't want to be near glass or mirrors. Those can easily break and cause injuries to you or your family. But if you can get into a bathroom, that'll give you some additional insulation with some of the piping in the wall and give you a little bit more distance, a little bit more padding in between you and the outside world. Again, a tornado warning continues here in the heart of eastern Kentucky for Breathitt, Clay, Knott, Leslie, Owsley, and Perry County until 4 o'clock. So still another 5 minutes to go on this storm. We are now seeing, this is coming from the National Weather Service, a report of a flash flood. The Pittsburgh School Road in Laurel County, Kentucky. This is being reported by a county official looking at numerous reports of heavy rain coming into the area, about 4 to 5 inches of running water on Slate Lick Road. And in addition to now the potential for a severe and potentially tornadic thunderstorm threat, we want to briefly tell you we have flash flood warnings, a very serious situation here for eastern Kentucky for Laurel County as well as McCreary, Pulaski, Clay, and Jackson County. We finally have pinpoint Doppler up and running. I'll send things back to Jim for the time being here. Jim?
There you have it. All kinds of activity now going on here in southeastern Kentucky with, as you mentioned, the flash flood warnings, tornado warnings still active out there as well. Not hearing any significant reports of any damage. I did speak with a gentleman that works at the station, Dennis Hudson, on the phone a few minutes ago, and he said, now quote, it's like nothing he's ever seen. It looks very, very ominous out there, and I suspect it does. And he's right here in Perry County with us, and of course encouraged him to get to a shelter, as I encourage all of you folks. And you folks over there in Knott County, no exception right now, because here it comes, and it's now trying to cross the border. So be under the gun. What we got
Just
now?
kind of a heads up, we don't have the new set of counties, but we are getting a word from the National Weather Service that the tornado warning will be extended here very shortly. So folks upstream, we're talking into the north and eastern sections of the viewing area, you need to be considering getting to a tornado shelter at this point in time. Up towards Prestonsburg, this storm is basically running right along the Hal Rogers Parkway. So if you're to the north and east of, let's say, Jackson, Hazard, you're next. Unfortunately, this is not a good situation. A lot of folks coming home on their Friday, getting ready for a nice, easygoing weekend. But at this point in time, we are looking at continued signs based on Doppler radar that we are seeing rotation capable of producing a tornado. But at this point in time, what you see there on your screen, the red rectangle, if you will, the red shape, that's where the tornado warning is in place. Okay, now a tornado warning coming down. This is a new extension. This is for south central Johnson County as well as east central Breathitt County, Floyd County, northern Knott County, southeastern Magoffin County, north central Perry County, and west central Pike County. So lots of counties here, and we're going to be extending this warning for another 33 minutes until 4:30 for all of the counties just mentioned. Again, that's south central Johnson, east central Breathitt, Floyd County, northern Knott County, southeastern Magoffin County, north central Perry County, and west central Pike County. Looking at Doppler radar indicated signatures or characteristics of the storm that tell us that there may be a tornado. Again, I want to stress that we have no confirmation based on this tornado warning that was just issued and the one before it, but this cell has a history of producing potential tornadoes. We've already seen a funnel cloud report come out of south central Kentucky, so this is something to take very, very seriously. Some of the locations in the path of this: Beaver Junction, Allen City, Allen, Coal Run, Hindman, obviously Hazard, and up towards Prestonsburg, we need to be on the lookout. Off to the north and west of Pikeville, up towards Salyersville, folks that need to be getting to a tornado shelter and getting to it as quickly and as safely as you can.
Tornado warnings, as he just mentioned, are issued for several counties. I'll show you here with the live pinpoint Doppler radar. We'll go a little closer, show you some communities that will be affected directly by this within the next little bit, because that's what we do. That's why we got the software. That's what we spent the money on. You can see it right here. You've got the Kentucky Route 80. It's going to travel right along you here. 550 over there in Knott County. This is going to be the next county to start to really see the intense stuff get into your neck of the woods. And that's what I've got shown up here on the live pinpoint Doppler radar, Elm Rock, all of these communities. Please take caution right now, as this is a tornado warning, something we don't see a lot of here, and something you should always be prepared for, especially during this time of year when we start to get more in the way of severe weather. These warmer months will always produce this very crazy weather, and that's what we've got out there today. And it's been going on out in the plains for the last couple of days, into parts of the Midwest, and now it's right here in our doorsteps. And you can see Breathitt County covered up by both of these warnings. One set to expire at 4 o'clock. It's 3:59.
So another 30 minutes or so on this second warning.
On this second one, this one that you see extending out from Hazard there, it goes all the way out until 4:30. We'll stay right here with it. It's a dangerous situation. Here are some of the important information that we want to share with you. People possibly affected throughout this area. About 83,000 people. That is a lot of people that are out there, according to the information that we got from the Census Bureau. You're looking at some of the time frames for the storm. Ambergy at 4:01, Soft Shell around 4:07, Omaha around 4:10, Hanshu around 4:11, and of course the warning information, you just saw the other warning go down right there live on the air, and you can see right now the communities are still highlighted, nothing changing as far as the track of this one. And from the last little bit of information we've got, of course, the probability of hail very high as well. Severe hail, talking 60%, so you're talking some decent sized stuff through there. I haven't seen any significant hail reports so far here this evening, but nonetheless, that could certainly happen here within the next little bit. Our main threat obviously going to be this tornado warning. Here's a cell that's got all the concern right there in northern parts of, looks like Knott County at this point in time. It's going to continue to trek off toward the north and east. That's why southern parts of Magoffin County have been highlighted for this. That's home sweet home to me, and it can certainly get into the southern part of the county and affect that area known as what we all call it over there, up the river, and that could be a decent little cell go through there. The rest of Knott County right along 80, that is exactly where it is traveling. There's some new there's some new True View information. Titan, that's some of the software we use. That's just some of the fancy talk we've got here. And you can see that more communities like Mousy, you've got Demo, Vale, all of you now under the gun. The sail is moving that way. It was issued, this little hail indicator was issued within this storm, but it shows the direction that this sail is going in. So we can plot the information for you there. 79,000 people still possibly affected with the 80% chance of severe hail on the way. Scott's got something for you.
Yeah, I just want to pass along some good news. In the midst of all of this bad news, we need something good coming our way. Breathitt County, Clay County, Knott County, Leslie County, Owsley County, and Perry County, your tornado warning has expired. But again, the tornado warning that was in sections of Breathitt County, Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Magoffin, Perry, and Pike counties, the one that Jim was just talking about, that will continue for another 30 minutes or so, and we'll be staying with you. So thankfully, some folks can breathe a sigh of relief, but again, we're looking at still a very dangerous situation. This is an extremely rare event to see this quantity of tornado warnings affect such a dramatic area. Some additional warnings to pass along to you. We have some flash flood warnings that have come down in the recent time period here. Looking at reports of heavy rain coming down in Laurel County in Keavy of about 2.13 inches in an hour. And you can see that as Jim takes a look at some of the data here, we're looking at the probability of severe hail at around 60%, 80% chance of hail according to our in-house computer here. And it comes without saying, we've said this numerous times, but there is a lot of rain being churned out from this system. Flash flood warnings in place. And so you need to be headed to a tornado shelter. You don't want to be waiting or to hear or see the tornado or hear the typical sounds of the train coming through. Now is the time, if you are in these sections that are under the tornado warning at this point in time. We're looking basically at the heart of eastern Kentucky. That includes sections of Breathitt, as well as Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Magoffin, Perry, and Pike counties until 4:30. And now the folks down in south central Kentucky still dealing with some strong thunderstorms, but even here in Hazard at the WYMT studios, we're getting some very heavy rain. You can see right there, Jim pulling up some additional information, pea-size hail, maybe even up to quarter-size hail at times. This is a serious thunderstorm, and this is one that is coming through very quietly. It continues to move through an area that is very favorable for tornadoes, and we're still looking at anywhere between 60, 70, 80, maybe even 90,000 people in the path of this storm as it moves off to the north and to the east at roughly about 50 to 55 miles an hour. I want to briefly switch things over to our tornado safety map. In case you're just coming home, getting ready to start off your weekend, here are some things that you should be doing right now if you are in south central Johnson County, east central Breathitt County, Floyd County, Knott County, southeastern Magoffin County, north central Perry County, and west central Pike County. Getting to a tornado shelter is the #1 priority that you should have at this point in time. What we mean when we say a tornado shelter, getting to a basement, getting to the lowest level of the building that you're currently in for no reason. Don't go outside. It's not worth it. You could put yourself in serious danger. If you're at school, you want to be getting underneath a workbench or a desk. If you're at home, you want to be getting into an interior part, the lowest floor that you can in your home. If you live in a mobile home, and a lot of folks here in eastern Kentucky live in mobile homes, and we've seen just in the past 2 to 3 hours reports of damage to mobile homes specifically in south central Kentucky with this same thunderstorm that is now moving off to the north and east right through the heart of eastern Kentucky. So for you folks especially, if you live in a mobile home, you need to be getting out of it and getting to a safe place, getting into a reinforced structure capable of sustaining a tornado and or straight line winds that could be as high as 75 or even 80 miles an hour. And of course, you don't want to be driving. I know this is rush hour. This is the time of day where people start coming home. You need to be getting out of vehicles, as Jim has said numerous times, contacting folks, especially if you are not under a warning at this point in time, contacting them, telling them to get to the basement, especially if they're in these communities that are under a tornado warning at this point in time. We're still seeing signs based on Doppler radar that there is rotation and that there is the capability not only for a tornado, but also for the potential for straight line winds, very large hail that could easily be quarter size or larger, very heavy rainfall, lightning, numerous threats. It's just not the kind of situation that you want to be in at this point in time. Jim has put a couple of counties back on live pinpoint Doppler, a couple of streets, excuse me, that are going to be impacted by this cell as it moves on through. So let's go back over to Jim and live pinpoint Doppler radar.
That's what we've got. Numerous roads, numerous communities going through a very populated area there in Knott County. You see some of the communities that are very familiar with you. If you're over in that community or over in that county, you can see we've got Knott Bottom Branch Road, State Highway 1098, of course Kentucky 80, right on top of you pretty much. And Mr. Demick mentioned earlier that we had the storm basically right along the Hal Rogers Parkway, and that's certainly what it has been. And now, of course, it's just plain old Kentucky 80 at this point, but nonetheless, taking a little bit of that trek so far. State Highway 1098, Rock Fork Road, you got 550. All of these roads, these communities you're seeing, you need to prepare if you know somebody that is around them. I encourage you to give them a quick call, especially if you have a cordless phone or a cellular telephone that you can get them on. The risk of being electrocuted by lightning does go down. You can still do it. It can still happen, but it's not attractive to that. What can happen is it can pass through the phone lines themselves, and that's when the problems in all the world can go crazy, is when you get in that type of situation. So just keep that in mind. I'm not hearing a whole lot of thunder here in Hazard and at this point in time, but that absolutely means nothing. There can still be a doozy out there. It just passed us by from Knott County at this point in time. There's a little track that popped up here, and you're seeing, they're talking, by the way, mothball size tail down here at the bottom, and then the probability of it being severe. You can see that information as well. In the communities that this cell is moving in, you got Bowling, you got Topmost, you got Wayland over there in Floyd County, you got Hueysville, you got Beaver, all highlighted right now for this tornado warning, and you can see the tornado warning in effect for all of the counties right there until 4:30 p.m. Let me show you this graph. Now, this is one of the newer features. We don't use it a whole lot, and then what it shows us is the probability of hail. It's really talking some of the severe hail, and it's up there really high. And with that being the case, that shows us that this cell is going to remain intense. That's one way we can look at this information. It's going to remain intense at least through 4:37, as you see here, drawn out on our little chart here, on our little graph. So you're talking about a decent little time period. This cell stays strong, even severe possibly. We'll see here momentarily whether or not this will continue to issue warnings. We'll see what folks over at the Weather Service are saying about this cell. And I'll tell you, just got an update from the radar, and it's still looking very, very intense there in Knott County. Just to the north of Hyndman at this point in time, the main center of the cell where it's so intense at this point in time. And there you see again just a wider view in all the counties and all the communities highlighted here. I'm going to take the radar down for just a moment. I've got the Louisville radar up too, so there you see it, and that's something that we use on here as well for hail tracks that I had up those strange colors you're not familiar with. And let me get my right mouse, and we'll certainly get right to it. You can see where we're going with this one. It's sitting right here in parts of Knott County, and you can see almost all of Floyd County, a large county here in eastern Kentucky, a heavily populated area too. You are certainly under the gun. You're including the county seat of Prestonsburg, Allen included in this, city of Martin right along Kentucky 80. And you can see them right there. Martin, you've got Allen, down southern parts of Floyd County. We've got Rift and eastern Dow, and of course the Dow, West Garrett in general. This is a dangerous situation. If you are in any of these communities, again, I encourage you to go ahead and seek your shelter. Let's jump over to these tips real quick, because a few folks just now are joining us over there. We've got this information here for you. If you need to, we'll get over to them here in just a moment. And there you can see them. You want to stay calm, move quickly, but safely. I'll let Scott wrap these up. I'm going to do some things with the radar.
Yeah, okay. Briefly, before we go on over to the tips here, some additional good news. The tornado warning is canceled for north central Perry and east central Breathitt counties. The storm has moved out of the area, but the tornado warning continues for those of you until 4:30 in northern Knott, west central Pike, Floyd, southeastern Magoffin, and south central Johnson County. So I want to pass that information along to you before we take a look at some of the tips. Now, if you're in those counties that I just mentioned, Knott, Pike, Floyd, Magoffin, and Johnson counties, you need to be following these tips that you see right there on your screen. First and foremost, stay calm. This is a very active weather situation. This is a very relevant situation. I'm sure Rob, Jim, and I would tell you right off the bat that this is an extremely out of the ordinary situation, but one that you can still keep under control. You need to move quickly but safely to a tornado shelter. Head to a basement. If you don't know where your designated tornado shelter is, if you haven't thought about it before, head to a basement. That's the best place to be. You want to be underground. You want to be in the central part of that basement as well, in an interior room. If you can't get to a basement, you want to get to the lowest floor of the building that you're in. A lot of folks here in eastern Kentucky live in mobile homes. If you live in a mobile home, you need to be getting out of that mobile home and getting yourself into a reinforced structure. What that means is getting into a building that is going to be able to support a tornado, a potential tornado, and or straight line winds that could easily be in excess of 50, 60, even 70 miles an hour. Obviously, you don't want to be in vehicles either. Now, once you are in your tornado shelter, we're talking about in the basement. That's the best place to be. If you can get to the lowest floor of the building that you're in, get to the most centralized part of that, staying away from windows as you do so, staying away from exterior walls, and for whatever reason you have to go outside, don't do it. It's just not the time. You can have all weekend to do it. The weather certainly won't be nice and warm, won't be as intense, but now is not the time to start your grilling out or your cooking out or starting off your weekend. This is the time to be heading to a secured location and getting yourself protected. Once you are in your tornado shelter, you want to be staying there. For the folks in the counties that we mentioned before, that includes Floyd, Johnson, Knott, Magoffin, and Pike counties. You want to be staying there for at least the next 15 minutes or so until this warning is either continued or allowed to expire. Again, we're looking at numerous threats, not just the potential for a tornado. We're also looking at straight line winds that could easily take limbs off of trees, may even take down trees themselves, possibly cause some structural damage or some significant structural damage. We're talking taking shingles off the roof of a house, maybe busting out windows, maybe even taking out some of the unsettling the foundation, especially for the folks that live in mobile homes. So something to take very, very seriously at this point in time. What I'm going to do briefly before we send you back to Jim is take a look at what's been going on. If you notice here on the radar loop that yes, we have the boxes in place. Those are tornado watches. And by the way, all of us here in southeastern Kentucky continue to be under a tornado watch until 6 p.m. And for the folks, it's not just a tornado watch, it's a tornado warning. But notice how rain continues to fall over the same areas, and it keeps coming down hard at times here in southeastern Kentucky. So with that said, we're not only looking at the potential for a tornado or for straight line winds or for lightning or for hail. We're also looking at something that we take very seriously in eastern Kentucky, and that is flooding. We have flash flood warnings that are in place for numerous counties here. We're looking at Clay, Jackson, Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski County, and these go all the way until 6:45 tonight. Numerous other counties under the flash flood warning. So this is something that you need to be aware of. You need to be paying attention to high water that may be coming in your area. If you're driving for whatever reason, let's say that you're in south central Kentucky, you've already taken the brunt of these storms, and you see high water, as the saying goes, turn around, don't drown. You don't know the depth of that water. You may think you know, but you could be putting yourself in a very serious situation. So again, flash flood warnings in place, and that tornado warning continuing here for the next 15 minutes on the dot. Let's go back to Line Pinpoint Doppler. Jim's got an update on who is seeing the brunt of this storm at this point in time. Jim?
All right, Scotty, we've got that cell that we've watched for hours and hours, it seems like now, crossing over into Floyd County, the leading edge of it now, getting into Wayland. So those communities right there along pretty close to the border of Knott and Floyd counties, and also gathering some more data. It indeed looks like the rotation in this storm, which is something we look for. I'm not trying to fancy talk you here, because I'm not here to fancy talk you. It looks like the rotation is certainly still significant in this cell that is moving, and we're continuously getting these updates where you see these little markers that show us that, yeah, rotation is still there, and that also tells us and gives us a better idea of which way it's going to go, at least the way the computer thinks it's going to go with some of the radar information. And right now, if you're over there in Floyd County and High-Hat, Printer, Galveston, Ivor, all of these communities under the gun here till 427. That's what that's talking about with that storm. So that's covering up most of the southern parts of Floyd County. Very familiar with that area. Spent a lot of time over through there, and a lot of folks living in that general area. You're looking at 85,000 people through southern Floyd County. So we've certainly got to start to watch the skies a whole lot more here. We've also received a report, by the way, over on Typo Road here in Perry County. Power lines down on the road. So another thing to look out for with this damaging wind that is marching across southeastern Kentucky. I say damaging wind as if it was a large system. It's been this one cell that's caused all these problems right here. That's been the one that has kind of been the thorn in our side. updated information again with it. It continues to do that, and that's what we want to see in more communities like Langley and Craner, and this now including the city of Pikeville, reaching you all by 4:33. So we have got ourselves a very intense storm, and talking decent-sized hail too, right nickel size. So damaging hail also associated with this, and rotation indicated a few minutes ago still staying pretty strong within the cell. And again, I'm not trying to fancy talk you. All that means is that there could very well be a tornado trying to develop, indication that the ingredients are there to get one. Looking at McDowell too, if you're over in T-Berry and you see beaver, you need to be on alert and be prepared. You've probably already seen the wind starting to pick up a little bit. Well, I'll tell you why. You have got a very impressive cell just to your west that is moving in your general direction. It may skirt you all down there, but you can certainly see some of the very intense wind. I hope you can avoid any type of major damage from this storm cell that's moving through Garrett right now. And Wayland, we've mentioned you for a little while now. It's right there with you. It's going to move off toward the north and east, hopefully sooner than later. Well, these are basically racing off toward the northeast at right around, I believe last check, 60 miles per hour. So what I'll do is I'll throw a storm track. I may not even be far enough out, so we'll throw a storm track on there and just kind of show you the possibilities. You've seen during hurricane season we draw the cones out. Well, this is basically what it is.
Okay, I hate to interrupt you here, Jim. It looks like we're going to be seeing, it hasn't come yet down over the wire, but in our connection with the National Weather Service, we could be looking at a tornado warning issued within the next minute or less, and this is likely to be for northern sections of Pike County. So for those of you in Pikeville, some of the surrounding areas, you need to be heading to a tornado shelter at this point in time, as that storm track that Jim just laid down there, moving off to the north and to the east at about 55 miles an hour. This is a big town, one of the biggest cities here in eastern Kentucky, about to be affected by this storm that has produced a funnel cloud. Has been kind of spinning up, spinning down, showing those inherent characteristics, but just be on the lookout for another tornado warning coming down, likely for Pike County within the next minute or two. And again, some of the communities you see there on your screen: Blue Moon, Osborne, Pikeville, obviously going to be seeing this as this tornado warning that was just issued for a variety of counties, including Floyd, Johnson, Knott, McGoffin, and into sections of Pike County. This is likely to be extended into a good chunk of Pike County. So keep that in mind. For those of you close to Pikeville, to the north of Pikeville, now is the time to be heading to your tornado shelter. A lot of big areas here in eastern Kentucky: Salyersville, Paintsville, Prestonsburg, Pikeville, about to get impacted by this storm. Not necessarily the tornadic potential where we have that tornado warning in place for the red areas you see there on your screen, but this is likely to be extended further off to the north and east. So folks up towards Martin County, into northern sections of Pike County, be on the lookout here for a warning here in the very short term. Jim?
That's certainly going to happen, I'd say. This cell not showing any signs of weakening, and we keep talking about the rotation and all the intense levels of the storm still sticking around. So it does not surprise me to see that warning extended out here. Already, basically Pikeville already included. You can see how it's kind of cutting you right into the fringe of the warning. So you will certainly be under the new one, obviously, as he just mentioned, and affected. And now it's out, and wow, a lot of counties, a lot of things going on here. That's basically covered up the entire county of Pike County, the largest county in the entire Commonwealth, now under the tornado warning. And you've also got, of course, southern Martin County and the rest of Floyd County are pretty much covered up except one small area. So this is the warning, the newest one. So let me go ahead and update you with some of the information here. And it may repeat counties it didn't that time. Floyd, Knott, Letcher, McGoffin, Martin, and Pike counties, all of you under our warning here, the tornado warning. And that extending all the way out until 5 p.m. And hopefully we can get that out of southeastern Kentucky for the news time and get some of the latest information news-wise and get the reports that we've out in southern Kentucky where the damage has already been reported to us here. But we'll get that on the air coming up much later here. Let me give you this little marker again. This is an updated one, or one of the newer ones we've had recently released. You see it: Printer, Craner, Boldman, Pikeville 434. This still could be reaching you by that time period. 84,000 people possibly being affected within the line of this storm. And again, I know it certainly looks like the entire county was issued one of the additional warnings. This is just they issue these new warnings for specific areas. And I'll tell you what, Pike County, all of you, this is called a tornado warning. This is when it's time to get down to it and try to get to your safe spot, and try to do so as quickly as you possibly can without causing a big ruckus, because you want to be maybe in a basement, you want to be in an interior room on the bottom floor of your home. You want to be as safe as you possibly can. Kids probably returning home from school, ball practice, what have you. It's, you know, springtime, and as Scott mentioned earlier, you may have been going out to a barbecue. Who knows what? Not the time to do that right now. You need to go ahead, sit down, stay home, and try to stay straight as possible here, because we are certainly talking about a very dangerous situation with a tornado warning that has just been ongoing here for the last, oh gosh, for a couple hours. I think we started 1-something this afternoon, tornado warnings, and we'll continue here with southern Floyd County. Prestonsburg, not exactly seeing the most intense part of this cell, but Pikeville, one of the largest cities in eastern Kentucky, you certainly could feel it here within the next little bit here. A lot of concern for you all, and a lot of concern for folks along US 23 in Floyd County, because it's coming through that area as well. I'm going to go a little bit closer now. You've got Mud Creek over there. You've got Osborne. You've got Grethel. These are communities not showing up. It's been, my memory, again, spent a lot of time through this community here, through this area, through the years. You see Grethel, and of course the post office over there, Osborne, just some of those roads that will be soon affected. There's 3379 and Keeley Hollow. There's 1426, and you've got, I believe that's 979. There's 979 that's affected right now. There's Joe Tackett Hollow Road. If you know people that live on some of these roads, let me tell you what, they need to know what's going on. They need to know what's going on in a hurry. You got Ray's Branch over there too. Look at that crossover in Pike County though. These are roads that are being affected or will be very soon in southern Floyd County. You can see again, we've got Grethel, Osborne, and Frontage travel right along there in Bozeman. There you see US 23 and Harold, heavily populated area for parts of Floyd County. A lot of people living over there in the Betsy Lane area. You've got to watch out. We've got the cell bearing down on you. It's not reached 23 just yet, but certainly on the way for you, and those communities right around it. Here's some new information. I got family over there today. That's where our brother lives, as a matter of fact. And 424, that storm expected to get with him and the rest of my bunch that lives in that part of the world. We've got Pikeville, of course, Meta over there in Floyd County, and Jared. And you can see the warnings we've got out. I've got one, the newest one, till 5 o'clock this evening here for Martin, Floyd, Knott, Letcher, and Pike counties. Main concern right now is where that cell is located at, and I'll even go ahead and reassure some of you all at this point in time, not looking as intense down there for Letcher County, even though it is included in on this warning. Just wanted to show you that right now, not seeing a whole lot of major activity. Anything new coming out from over there?
No, basically, just at this point in time, the big concern is going to be for Pike County and up towards Martin County. You are really under the gun for this storm as this tornado warning continues until 5 o'clock. So we still got a long ways to go, a good 35 minutes on this storm that has produced a funnel cloud over south central Kentucky and is continuing to move off to the north and east, dropping lots of rain, lots of dangerous lightning in its path, and we continue to see the threat for a tornado, as well as the potential for some very large hail. And don't take away from the fact that because we have a tornado, that's a very serious threat, but something else that can be very dangerous is the straight line wind component of this storm. Folks right along 80, 122, over towards 23. We're looking at 1426 right there, right next to Coal Run, over towards Martin, Pikeville. You need to be headed to your tornado shelters at this point in time. If anything, what we're seeing right now, based on the winds of this storm, is still a little bit of circulation, but perhaps an increasing potential where we get that tornado potential lowering, we get that straight line wind potential increasing. So we're starting to see some winds in this particular thunderstorm that could easily be in excess of 50, 60, or maybe even 70 miles an hour. That'll easily knock you off your feet. It could pull shingles right off the side of your house, perhaps tug at the siding. If you're in a mobile home, you need to be getting out of that at this point in time. You certainly don't want to be outdoors for any reason, attempting to get into a vehicle. If you know folks that may be driving, maybe coming into town for the weekend, you need to let them know what is going on when it is safe to do so. Another thing we want to pass along to you is we are looking to see what has actually been going on. When it is safe to do so, you can call the National Weather Service up in Jackson, meaning when the tornado warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings have expired for your area, you can call them and give a report on your damage at 877-633-6772, only when it is safe to do so. Again, for those of you especially in extreme eastern Kentucky, over towards Martin County, Floyd County, Knott County, into portions of Letcher County and Pike County, in fact all of Pike County, under a tornado warning at this point in time, going strong until 5 o'clock. So still a long time to go. Still seeing some circulation, still seeing numerous threats going on. Obviously, the tornado warning is the most important thing and the one that you should be reacting to and certainly getting into a safe location, but also threats related to flash flooding on the roadways for the areas that have already seen the storms come through. We're looking at hail that is covering the ground in some places, very heavy rainfall. Numerous things going on at this point. Let me briefly show you as we switch on over to our other weather graphics system. Move quickly but safely if you're in these counties. Perhaps you're just coming home from work or school. You need to be getting to a basement. That's the safest place to be, into an interior room on the lowest floor of the building that you're in. If you're staying at work, then that's fine. You need to be getting to a safe location. If you have let's say a walk-in office, an area that you can get under a sturdy workbench or a table, that's going to be a great place to be. And we've already mentioned that we've seen some damage from mobile homes across the area, Jim, and it's not a pretty situation when we get these winds, both the straight line and the potentially tornadic variety, coming together. It's not a good situation, and we've already seen some damage from south central Kentucky for tornadoes basically being picked up and tossed like a toy, or taking damage just like a small child would push over a tiny set of toys. And this is the real deal. This is not a toy. This is a real live tornado warning, something that is extremely rare for southeastern Kentucky. A lot of times we talk about areas near Interstate 75 taking the brunt of these storms, and statistically that's what happens. But this is a very serious threat, and we've received reports of power lines being down, some very heavy rainfall. No reports yet of wind damage coming through, but as Jim drops this down, this storm has moved 155 miles an hour. We first came on the air just before 2 o'clock. That's when we started to see the tornado watch be in place, and then we started to get some of the tornado warnings coming.
Let's show what we're talking about here.
Let's switch on over to live pinpoint Doppler. We'll show you some of the distance factor that is being equated in this. Again, we were looking at reports within the last 2.5 hours of damage down in south central Kentucky, and this continues to spread off to the north and east. And I want to stress that even though we have the tornado warning, and you may not see, you may not hear the tornado, and you shouldn't be waiting for it, now is the time to be getting to that safe location, that safe place where you and your family can go to get out of the path of this storm, getting into an interior room, getting to the lowest level of the building that you're in. Do not go outdoors for any reason. The only reason you would need to go outdoors is if you were in a mobile home, and that is to get out of it, get into a ditch, and get into a secure location. And what you see there, that little marker that we have on the pink spot where we're getting some very heavy rainfall, that is indicating to us that we are still seeing some rotational properties within this thunderstorm. And we're looking at hail too. The probability of severe hail well above 50%. That should tell you that this is a very dangerous thunderstorm that continues to hold its own, still in a very favorable environment for tornadoes to form. We're still looking at this tornado warning that will continue for northern Knott, west central Floyd, southeastern Magoffin, south central Johnson counties, and that looks to be expiring here very shortly. So we have some good news for the folks there. But the tornado warning will remain in effect for Pike County and southern Floyd County until 5 o'clock. So we're going to be staying with you as our, hopefully, our last few counties are experiencing the brunt of this thunderstorm. So again, a tornado warning remains in effect for Pike County and southern Floyd County until 5 o'clock.
Here's that phone ring. Let's see what they've got, and I'll go ahead and continue us with this severe weather coverage. And when you talk a Coal Run, a lot of people will go shopping over there. That's a heavily populated shopping area. You got the shopping centers. What are the name of those shopping centers, Rob? What are those names? Right through there where all of the folks go over there. The Coal Run. What's the name of it? Weddington Plaza. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm going to tell you, you've got 5,000 things going through your mind. You forget about stuff like that. Weddington Plaza over there at Coal Run. That's what you've got right now. It's bearing down on that. So, you know, a lot of people could be in there shopping, not knowing. Give them a quick call on their cell phone. Let them know that this one is right there on them. That's right along US 23. Anybody on the phone say anything?
No,
Okay.
no
phone
call.
Okay. I thought I heard that phone. Okay. But in Coal Run right now, it's over there at the Weddington Plaza. That's going to be a very highlighted area for the threat due to the fact that a lot of people will be out there shopping. It is Friday evening. You want to get out and try to do things. You see that's right along US 23 and 1426 over in Floyd County. So these are communities that will certainly have a lot of people in them. You know what it's like to get out there on a Friday. You certainly know that a lot of people will get out and about and like to get out there and shop. Got a new little marker here that's going to highlight and give us some more information. All right, City of Pikeville, we know that there's a lot of people over there, of course with Pikeville College over there, and of course the schools and all the baseball fields and everybody out there. It's already been raining for a little while. Hopefully you pulled it in. But if not, you need to immediately, or you need to let somebody know that maybe out on one of these ball fields, let them know that this is certainly a dangerous situation. They need to know right now. So right now we're talking Pikeville at 4:34. So that's just 2 minutes away according to my clock here. Meda, 4:41 there. Kemper, you got Canada all included in the track of this storm. And you can kind of see where they're at. Zebulon too, and some of these other communities, the 194 right there. That's where we're talking for the future travel of the storm. And you want to stay as safe as possible, folks, when dealing with this severe thunderstorm. You also have some folks over there in West Virginia that are watching. I believe there's also been a severe thunderstorm warning issued for them as well. We'll show you that information too. So you folks will also be prepared. And looks like over in Martin County, they're not getting the bad cell. They're not getting this rotating cell, but they've got a very intense one. So you're already seeing something completely different. If you're up there in Martin County, that's moving toward Inez. We expect the tornadic cell, the possible tornadic cell, to move through southern portions of the county. And we want to mention real quick, just over across the border to our friends and neighbors over there
County.
in West Virginia, absolutely got the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you all too until 5:30 p.m. Again, this data goes kind of crazy from time to time. I want to show you specifically what I'm talking about here. So let me pull one of these warnings down, and down we go. And there you see Mingo County until 5:30 p.m.
And also for that severe thunderstorm warning, we are seeing some signs of some weak rotation within that thunderstorm. No surprise, we've been talking about the potential for tornadoes all across southeastern Kentucky. So for you folks on the other side of the Kentucky border, keep in mind you may be looking at a unfortunate situation that may involve a tornado here in the short term. So just be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely. And right now, biggest concern are going to be these very heavily populated areas between Pikeville and Coal Run there. A lot of people are going to be out in these communities, as I've already mentioned numerous times here so far. And that cell bearing down on you, Pikeville and Coal Run. You go out to Mossy Bottom there too, right along US 23. Here it comes. This is a very intense cell. Already had a history of possibly producing a tornado out in southern Kentucky. You know, we've had a trailer absolutely destroyed. I'm anxious to see how bad that is. Not in a good way, but I want to see how bad the damage was, to see how intense the storm could have been when it was out there. We've got all the tools in the world, but until we see it firsthand with our own two eyes, we never know. And so we'll have to wait and see on that and see exactly what happens coming up within the next few days here, or see some of the video later tonight coming up on Mountain News at 6 o'clock. So we'll have the latest forecast information. But right now, one of the largest cities in eastern Kentucky, Pikeville, getting ready for a possible rotating storm. It is rotating. Or a possible tornado that is embedded within this intense thunderstorm there. It's crossing the border, the entire cell. Hopefully it can remain in a lower populated area, but that's not going to happen. That's very unfortunate for that spot right there, because a lot of people are going to be living there along US 23 and through parts of Pike County there around the city of Pikeville area. And we're trying right now to, we're talking with our Big Sandy Bureau Chief. We're trying to see what kind of information she's got. And of course, she's right over there in Harold, so she has already lived through some of this. It may still be on top of her. Let me see the map here, so I know exactly where she's located. It's always hard to get real good. It's right on top of her right now, so we're going to try to speak with her as soon as possible and see exactly what's going on over there. And I think Scott's got some more information.
Yeah, just a couple of things to kind of throw your way as Jim kind of coordinates with our other people in the field here. Some things to realize is that we have a tornado warning for extreme northeastern Letcher and eastern Knott counties. That is now canceled, so some good news there. We're getting reports now of some quarter-size hail in the obviously a lot of heavy rain. A tornado warning remains in effect until 5 p.m. for Pike and southeastern Floyd, as well as southeastern Martin counties. Now, we've been talking about a lot of the communities affected, and this is the time of day when we start to get people that are moving about, perhaps driving home from work or school, maybe some of the teenagers, some of the young crowd out there getting ready to go play a game of baseball, maybe go around the ball outside. You need to get indoors, and for a lot of folks, if you live in a mobile home, getting to that secured location is going to be the best place you want to be. You want to get out of the mobile home if you live in a mobile home and getting into that reinforced structure across the area. Here's some additional tips. If we could switch on over to our system, our other weather graphic system very quickly. Some additional tips to throw your way. You want to be headed to a basement, especially for the folks that still remain under this tornado warning. We're talking about Pike, southeastern Floyd, southeastern Martin counties. If a basement is not available, you want to be getting to the lowest floor of the building that you're in. A lot of folks maybe perhaps going out for an early dinner here in the short term. You want to be getting underneath the tables in the restaurant. It sounds a little ridiculous. It sounds like something that most people probably wouldn't do, but you need to be getting into a safe location, getting yourself the most distance between you and the outside world, staying away from glass, staying away from hail, and other things. We're going to send things over to Jim. He's going to be standing up in our weather center here to give us some updated information. Jim?
All right, now we mentioned we've been talking with our Big City Bureau Chief, Angela Sparkman, here, the folks in the Manager Control and in the newsroom who are all working very frantically to see exactly what's going on. And we do have Angela on the phone. Angela, you're over there. Are you at the Bureau right now? And tell me what's going on at this point in time.
Actually, Jim, I'm not at the Bureau just because of the weather situation. It was just getting so bad. The rain was really bad. The wind was really bad. It was hailing really bad. And the Bureau was actually shaking. So I actually had to leave and come to another location where it's much safer here. And that just gives you a glimpse of what is going on here. It really just came really quick. Obviously, I don't know how bad or how fast the wind speeds are. You can probably tell us a little bit better, but it is very bad. Lots of hail. A lot of reports coming into the Bureau. People have been calling saying that their televisions are going out. Their phone lines have been blinking. So a lot of people just here trying to figure out what's going on and really just take cover.
With some of this hail that you're talking about, could you just compare that to maybe an object like a nickel or a penny just to give the folks at home maybe a good size of what you're seeing over there, or even up to golf ball size? Can you make a comparison there?
Yeah, the hail has not reached the size of a golf ball yet. It's been probably more about the size of maybe a quarter, maybe a nickel, different sizes like that. I can tell you, different things that are outside, like signs and stuff, have been spinning around in the wind just to give you an indication of how bad the wind is. And the rain has actually been moving like sideways just because there's so much rain and the wind so fast. It's really just pushing it. I haven't been driving, but we've been watching on the road drivers trying to navigate through this as well.
Now, what is you're not at the Bureau? Are you somewhere obviously in a safer structure over in that area? Is that where you're exactly located at, so I can get an idea of what's going on over there with you?
Yeah, I'm here in Harold, which, Harold sits right in Floyd County, but it's right by the Pike County line, really close to Coal Run. I am in a safer building. There's several building locations right down through here. I'm over here at a Gearhart Communications building where it's just much safer here to take cover.
Have you seen any damage so far yourself personally, just immediately right there around the Bureau and around Gearhart Communications?
I have not personally seen any damage yet, but obviously I haven't been out very far, and most of the phone calls I was fielding earlier were from people calling saying, that their cable was out or they were having problems with their phone. So there might be, we don't have anything confirmed like that. There is a dish right outside here for a radio station, and just maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago, that dish started spinning around in a circular motion just because the wind was so bad. But it did not fall over, but it's steady now.
Very strong winds over there in that area, and obviously as she is painting a picture from Harold over there in Floyd County right along US 23 going into Pike County, a very dangerous situation as well. Angela, you stay safe. Tell all the folks over there at Gearhart as well to certainly stay safe here as we head through the rest of the evening. We're watching this storm as we'll go back to the live pinpoint Doppler radar, and you can see it. You can see it's very intense, and we were just talking about those communities of Harold starting to lighten up for you all right now, skirting through Pikeville, though, and Zebulon, and getting into the parts of Pike County now, and as that's going to be a big concern, and the shoppers at Coal Run, at the Weddington Plaza, and what have you over in that general area. Now we all have to be concerned, and we're watching, of course, you talk about the wind driving the rain sideways. A very strong wind to make it almost look like it's coming at you sideways. Strong winds coming in there. Here's some more information with our latest automated storm tracker here. Kemper, Sidney, McAndrews, you got Phelps, we got areas like Hatfield School highlighted here up until 5 o'clock. We're right now looking at 442 here at the station. So 68,000 people possibly being affected. The southern part of this would, of course, be down there in Pikeville itself. Again, we stress a large city here in eastern Kentucky, and of course the Pikeville College, and a lot of folks probably out and about in some of the ball fields through there and throughout the entire county. You know, a lot going on with this particular cell. I'm going to go right back in though on the city and just really quickly show you who's seeing what right there in Pikeville, with it being a heavily populated area. You see US 23, you see Peach Orchard Drive, and there's several. There's Pike Street, of course 2nd Street, and Oxford Avenue. It's right on top of all of these places. There's 2nd Street and 3rd Street, and all the streets right through there. There's 4th. Don't want to get too many up there. Don't want to confuse it. But you can see that, and right over here is Full Road. And getting phone calls right now. Phone calls a little on a personal cell phone. Anyway, but you can see right on top of Pikeville. This is not the most intense part of the cell we're going to find the main help for, but it's certainly a doozy. It looks like another warning has been canceled for Floyd County. That'd be because all of it is now over here in Pike County and tracking off toward the north and east. A new tracker coming out. I'll get that information out to you here as well, because it tells us the latest characteristics of that storm and what it's doing, how it's turning, and which way it should be going, with some of these algorithms that are used, some of those formulas to tell us exactly what is going on. Sidney, and of course these are other communities we mentioned a minute ago. Sidney, McAndrews, Moortree, by 456, Hatfield School, 458, 503 for Woodman, as this storm moves east at around 48 miles per hour, slowing down some, at least according to this data that we are looking at right now. And just to kind of show you this, see how this probability of hail is still rather high. It shows you it's going to stay intense. That's going through 513, showing you that this storm will stay intense regardless of whether it's here in eastern Kentucky or where. It is expected to stay on the very intense side, with, of course, the Mingo County, West Virginia warning also up. As a severe thunderstorm warning. I'll highlight that for you because it's going to be coming right over into you all within the next little bit here. 5:30 for your warning to expire, and it's right now 4:44, so we've got plenty of time for that to get there. Let me go up to Martin County real quick. This is not the cell that is possibly producing a tornado, but it's pretty intense nonetheless. As a matter of fact, inch hail in Pikeville, at Coal Run. So there you go, there you have it. We're talking about some large hail, but this one up in Martin County, also pretty intense, very impressive. It's not the one, as I said, was rotating earlier that you're talking about. Still pretty intense stuff there. It's this cell we're going to try to watch, maybe clip southern parts of Martin County, that's right down in Pike County right now. That's almost the heart of the county, surrounding the city of Pikeville. So very intense stuff. You've got some information for us too, don't you?
Yeah, just some updated information coming in. This is coming from the emergency management officials out there in Pike County. We've heard reports of now inch-size hail out there in Pike County, and also getting some reports of some pea-size hail, some very heavy rainfall, obviously. And also now getting a report of some trees down in the Mud Creek area of Floyd County. No surprise there. No idea whether it is as a result of this possible tornado or simply just the winds being rushed out from the thunderstorm. But nonetheless, we are going to see some damage in the area, and we will certainly be looking at the potential for possibly a tornado at this point in time. It still continues. We've been monitoring this potential for the better part of almost 3 hours now, and it continues to pump out a lot of different threats. We're looking at some very dangerous lightning, some reports of crackling thunder. We've even got thunder here at the station here in Hazard, and most of the activities move through. So the folks, especially over in our far eastern county of Kentucky, Pike County, we're looking at some of the communities right there, some of the Road Fork communities over towards Manor and Zebulon, obviously getting a very, very heavy downpour at this point in time. Now we're going to be looking at numerous threats threats as this storm starts to move into portions of West Virginia. And for the folks over there, obviously a lot to be concerned with here in the short term. We've already talked about this ongoing tornado warning still in place for Pike County as well as southeastern Martin counties. But for the folks on the other side of the border, over in towards southern Mingo County and West Virginia, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30. So lots to talk about. Getting some reports of not necessarily impressive damage, at least nothing confirmed from a substantial source, such as the National Weather Service or Emergency Management. We are getting reports of hail. We are getting reports of heavy rain. We are getting flash flood warnings. Numerous reports of quarter-size hail coming out as these storms race through eastern Kentucky. And of course, you see right there the tornado warning continuing through 5 o'clock for the counties right there on your screen. That's mainly going to be for Pike and southeastern Martin counties. It looks like some of the data is still getting confused. There's a lot coming into our computers here in the Skylar Weather Center. Also getting some reports of trees down on the Pikeville bypass near the vocational school and several power lines down around Pikeville. This is coming from emergency management. So again, we don't have this being relayed from the National Weather Service per se, but we're getting this from emergency management, and they're certainly a very reliable source in times like this. Basically what we're looking at here is hopefully what is going to be the last tornado warning issued, going for another 12 minutes or so for Pike and southeastern Martin counties. This is the time of day where people start to come home. They want to unwind. They want to relax. They put in their whole day. They've been here since early in the morning, like myself, and we've been dealing with certainly some very heavy showers this morning and some thunderstorms. And then a little sunshine came out, and then boom, we're back to destabilizing the atmosphere. But we've already heard reports out of south central Kentucky of trailers being damaged, possibly just flipped over, tossed around essentially like toys. But this is real. This is human life, and we've watched this storm basically roll right up the Hal Rogers Parkway. And producing still these ongoing threats, very heavy rainfall that could obscure your view of an oncoming tornado. Again, we have no confirmation of a tornado at this point. We have seen a funnel cloud over south central Kentucky, but nothing within the last hour or so coming down in terms of tornadic related damage. We're getting some reports trickling in, and over the next few hours we'll continue to get those reports. Again, when it is safe to do so, you can report weather damage to the National Weather Service at 1-877-633-6772 when it is safe to do so. You are also welcome to call our newsroom here at the station, but again, do it when it is safe. We don't want the folks, especially over in Pike and southeastern Martin counties, to be calling us. We want you to stay in your tornado shelter in the basement on the lowest floor of the building that you're in until this warning is officially over.
Which hopefully will go down here in about 10 minutes, Scott. That's what we want. We want to see that. But still, the folks over there towards Williamson and West Virginia, you're going to still see this one coming up, coming over to the areas over there in Mingo County, West Virginia. You're going to have that intense thunderstorm drifting towards you as well. We're not out of the woods just yet. And if you're in Hazard and you're wondering what in the world is going on, because that's what we've been focusing on, that one cell for a while now, we've got an intense little thunderstorm here too, and producing heavy rain. The best I can tell at this point in time, just by listening and hearing what they're saying through my ear, just rain at this point in time. Nothing as far as anything dramatic or severe just yet. So that's what we've got here. That's another little stronger cell, and the one, of course, pulling out of Martin County, trying to wrap everything up here. Now it's situated right there in the central portions of Pike County, the cell that has already possibly produced a tornado, possibly, got to stress that word, possibly, out into southern Kentucky earlier on. And let me just show you something here real quick. We showed you this earlier today, and I'm going to take these storm tracks off here for a moment too. They've got some valuable information, but let me just kind of show you what's happened since about 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock actually this afternoon, as we were all gathering here and then getting in. We had a strong thunderstorm develop right along the Kentucky-Tennessee border. It has traveled all this distance up until right about here where you currently see it, over 170 miles. It has been a constant threat throughout that entire duration as it moved through Pulaski County, Wayne County, Laurel, Clay, parts of Leslie and Perry, Floyd, Knott, and then now into Pike County. That has been
Essentially
far.
everyone.
Just about. Right along that little path right there. It has been so impressive this entire time. It weakened for a brief time, but still it was on a strong side and producing severe thunderstorm warnings, and now still going with tornado warnings in Pike County. And any new information coming out of Cedar
No
County?
new information coming down at this point in time, but something else that we were just looking at the bigger picture. Obviously, we have this tornado warning, and that takes priority. But we're now, as storms evolve, meteorologists will tell you that the concern goes from severe weather to flooding potential, and we're still seeing some very heavy rainfall falling over portions of eastern Kentucky that have already seen the soil get saturated. In addition, so yes, we do have some concerns in terms of flooding across southeastern Kentucky, something to take very seriously. Obviously, we don't like to hear about tornadoes, but southeastern Kentucky is notorious for getting a lot of rainfall in a short period of time, and that's not always a good situation. So briefly, we want to remind the folks down along Interstate 75, Laurel County, McCreary, Pulaski, Clay, Jackson, continue to be under a flash flood warning until 6:45. So just a casual reminder, if you don't have to go driving around, especially in low-lying areas, or if you live near a creek or stream or river, you see it rising, you need to be prepared to take action on that. One last report before I send things over to Jim here. These will be a little bit time delayed. We have a power line down and a tree on fire at Arrowhead off of Cowpen Road at Coal Run Village. This is coming from Emergency Management in Pike County. And also just got this report from Kentucky State Police Dispatch. This was at 4:50. A trampoline is in the power lines. And we are seeing numerous reports of just, I hate to use the word destruction, but we do have some damage across the area. Folks' lives are being essentially turned on edge at this point in time. A very serious situation, and we continue to watch the storm still going strong, even as it has moved at 60 miles an hour for the better part of the afternoon.
170 some odd miles, been traveling all that time, and the entire time it's been going along this path, been producing very strong winds, and of course rotation from time to time, and that's what sparked these tornado warnings as of late. Had some early ones confirmed by some of the folks out in the field, some of the storm spotters saying, hey, we do see some funnel clouds. So of course that backing up the National Weather Service indicating them on radar, so that always makes them feel a little bit better about the warning, getting that information out to the people. We're looking right here, dead center almost of Pike County, where that cell is currently located at. He was talking about a tree on fire there in Coal Run. We were concerned about that a while back here when it was passing through there. A lot of people out and about through there, shopping, eating, a lot of restaurants through that area, banks, businesses, you name it, it's right through there. And of course the city of Pikeville, need I say more, a very populated city too here in southeastern Kentucky, and the largest county in the entire Commonwealth now under the gun. This continues here for the next
5 minutes.
5 minutes, I hope, and let's hope it goes down.
It's going to be a long 5 minutes.
It will.
A long afternoon watching these storms
It will
evolve.
certainly be just that. And right now, apparently, getting some issues here with some of the radar data. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to switch it out and show you some different types of data, so we can try to get everything back up and at 'em, and we'll go over here to Mr. Demick.
Yeah, we now have a report of a tree down and power lines down 281. And we're looking, let's see, about a mile and a half up from the grassy, or this is near the Raccoon Creek in the Pike County community. So we're looking at ongoing damage reports basically across the area at this point in time. We want to remind you, just as this warning is set to expire, you want to be following the tips that you have there on your screen, staying in the shelter. Obviously, you need to be on the lookout as these warnings are set to expire here in the short term for some flooding potential. We may have some roadways that'll be blocked, essentially road covering the highways and byways here in eastern Kentucky. So a lot to handle at this point in time, a lot going on, a lot of folks really uneasy and unsettled about the weather, and kind of the not wanting to take away from what's going on now, but it's going to get even crazier into the weekend. We could be looking at dropping temperatures, so just a typical April weather pattern here, and a lot of us monitoring the potential for severe weather over the past few days. Jim, Rob, and I both looking over the models and seeing that this indeed was a slight risk of severe weather that turned into a very intense risk for severe weather as we got a little sunshine, a little more instability in here. But live pinpoint Doppler radar continues to show this tornado warning as it winds down here. Luckily, we are on our last little bit. Hopefully, no more warnings coming down, at least none of the hopefully tornado warning variety or the severe thunderstorm warning variety. We'd like to see all the warnings go to pass, but we'd much rather have some localized flooding problems over the potential for a very dangerous situation for the folks, especially right now here in extreme eastern and northeastern sections of the viewing area.
You're right, and we're monitoring, as you mentioned, this the live pinpoint Doppler radar for some of the latest information. And you can see right here what we've got highlighted. We've got Pike County with that tornado warning cell moving right around this little hail marker. That's where it's at. And of course, there's much more than just plain old hail associated with this. You're talking winds probably in excess of 60 miles per hour, maybe even higher than that from time to time. And of course, the possibility that storm's still rotating and giving us something new coming down, according to our own Rob Hopkins, who is working diligently also with the folks in master control and with the watches and the warnings, and we're hearing it. I'm not seeing it just yet on what's coming down. And you've still got that tornado warning out for, that's the Martin Pike County warning right there. I'm just watching on top of the screen. You got something?
Yeah, some good news here. Hopefully, as this warning is set to expire, this tornado, okay, good news. Now, obviously, we're starting to see the tornado warnings come down. A severe thunderstorm warning is now in place for Pike counties, so at least it's not a tornado warning. We got to start looking at the silver lining for all of this stuff at this point in time. But again, a severe thunderstorm warning about ready to go into effect for Pike County, and that will go until 5:30 as this storm continues to move from the west to the east.
So what this is going to do, basically, folks, is this is going to replace the tornado warning. They're not seeing the characteristics anymore of the rotation, the significant rotation that the storm could produce a tornado. But keep in mind, it could always certainly start turning again, and that could develop. But right now, what we're talking about is it going to it now, severe thunderstorm warning here for basically northeastern Pike County is what I'm being told. So northeastern Pike County, that's where we're going to be watching very closely now for that potential. And we're watching, of course, the live pinpoint Doppler radar. Just as I say that, that comes up on our other computers. So let me see if our main computer's got that for you. I'll take radar back down for a moment so we can see that and we can show you that and give you that information on text. So what we're going to do is we'll get you this information quickly, and we'll try to then, of course, cut out and let WYMT 27 News First. They start their news coverage, and it's perfect timing for us, as of course they'll have some information from out in southern Kentucky that Phil Pendleton hopefully reporting on some of the critical weather information. But nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warnings from 5:30, waiting on some of the data to come trickling in here to WYMT and across the board. But what you see there, tornado warning going down, severe thunderstorm warning going up for Pike County until 5:30. It's the northeastern corner right there along US 119 going on over in Domingo County, West Virginia, where we also have severe thunderstorm warnings. You still see them highlighted right here behind me. Possibility of strong winds, large hail, certainly not out of the realm of possibility here on this very busy Friday evening. We're now going to go ahead and cut away, and we'll be joining 27 News First in Lexington for the latest in southern Kentucky with some live reports, I'm sure, or some type of reports hopefully coming up so we can see exactly what's happening down there. Stay safe.